Well, we're off and running for a Tuesday. And we got Monday out of the way. So we got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to go yet this week. But we'll make it. We'll make it. So will you, and you'll be ready to, you know, get your weekend going here in a few days. I'm looking forward to the next weekend. Are you looking for next weekend?
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah.
I'm sitting over here. I put in a day yesterday. I think that's enough, to be honest. But they say that I've got to do 4 more days, so I'll be happy to do
Well,
that.
who did that song? Everybody's working for the weekend.
Yeah, that's true. That was the Canadian group out of trying to think who that was. Everybody's working for the weekend. I can't think of their name now.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up in a minute.
Who did that song? Who did the song?
Everybody needs a new romance.
Yeah.
I want a piece of my heart.
Who is that? Who was that?
Dang it. Who is it? Foreigner? No, wait.
No, it wasn't Foreigner.
I can't remember who it was
It's
now.
a Canadian.
I have to look it
It's a
up.
Canadian.
I know the
group.
song, though.
Yep. That was a big song back in the day.
Let's see.
It was.
What is
Back
it?
in the 90s.
Time.
Oh, I
it's an
remember.
80s,
I got it on one of my
Is it 80s?
I think
mixtapes.
it's got to be 80s.
Oh, okay. She's looking, and she'll say it was, and they say,
And we're gonna
I
be
go,
like,
yeah,
"Oh,
of course,
yeah."
yeah. Well, that's who it was. But a lot of water's gone under the bridge for that. So did you type in the first line of the song?
So everybody's working for the weekend. The Brown Derbies.
Okay.
No,
that
no.
doesn't sound right.
No, that's a cover.
I was gonna
That's
say,
not
that
the
doesn't
Brown.
sound right.
No,
No, it's like Loverboy. How did I not know that?
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
I know Loverboy.
yeah, that's who it was. No doubt about it. I've got it. But that was one of their most famous songs. Everybody was living for the weekend at that time.
You want me to play it?
Yeah, go ahead. Hit
Why
it.
not?
Hit it. Here it comes.
Oh shoot! You know there's a commercial.
Oh,
Coming early for
yeah.
Tuesday.
You know these
Yeah.
Already looking
commercials.
at the weekend.
Yeah, we're already prepared.
Here we go.
There we go.
Classic 80s.
Yeah, we're getting you ready for the weekend.
On Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
Absolutely. I'll pay you tomorrow for a hamburger today.
Yeah. Hey, I like hamburgers every day, just about.
Is that what Iran is telling Trump on the phone? Are they saying, we'll sign a peace agreement if you promise not to destroy our infrastructure?
I think that's already happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think here's the thing with that. Like, we just need to do it. Just get it done. Because 47 years we've wasted how much money, given them how much money because they're Democratic presidents. We need to just do it. I think if we could just get all of the Iranians who are not radical Muslims to move over to this side and then just pound.
Yeah, step. Would you please step over into
Yeah.
Africa for a few moments?
Yeah, for a moment or two. Yeah.
And we'll take care of the rest as far as that's
Please
concerned.
hold.
Yeah, I don't think I think the Iranian people could get upset if you start taking away their ability to have air conditioning and stuff. I mean, I got to think that air conditioning, you got to have that to just about live even close to a normal life.
Yes, it's probably
over in that
miserably
area.
hot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they set the definition for hot, 120 degrees or something like that.
Like, open your mouth and you can't breathe.
Can't take it. By the way, I want to again start off today by congratulating the armed forces on getting that colonel back.
Yeah, buddy.
Good job. He climbed up the side of a
Mhm.
mountain.
Well, they had him
To
going
hide
every
himself.
which way, but it was like a what was that movie when they remember the one where they did the cross country race?
The Lord of the Rings?
No. You're funny.
It's
No,
a
with
movie
Burt
about
Reynolds,
walking.
and Dom DeLuise. Cannonball.
Oh, Cannonball.
They had him
Cannonball.
going every which way but loose.
Well,
That was another movie.
They were dropping all kinds of bombs on Iranian soil, making them think that they were going to get him in the water when he was up on top of a mountain.
Right?
Where they could hear him from his transponder. So they found him, they got him. I'm sure he's resting in bed. I'm sure that he's pretty bruised up after being, shot out of that jet.
Mhm.
And they said that it was a one handheld rocket that took him down.
Yeah.
Took him down. He was not the pilot. He was the weapons officer, better known as the WO. And
So where was the pilot?
he was already probably floating down to the ground. He, ejected too.
Oh, okay. They got him though.
Yeah, they got him real fast.
Right.
No problem. I don't know what
Mhm.
happened to the weapons officer. I don't know if he drifted out of sight for a few minutes or what, but they didn't know exactly where he was. They did know where the pilot was immediately.
Then that has to make other soldiers feel good under Trump that we're going to get you.
Well, yeah,
We're going to get you.
Well,
You
that-
should feel that way if you're a pilot.
Well, that's
you
been a
know.
long-standing doctrine, though, of the
No
U.S.
one left
military,
behind.
going back even to World War II, because they would. There's the movie Midway. I think
Yeah.
it is it Midway? Yeah, they go and there's one scene to where like the Japanese anti-aircraft gunners are on the boat and they're like shooting. They shoot down an American plane. They see the pilot, fall into the ocean. Then all of a sudden, a flying boat lands, picks up the person, goes off, and you just see this shock on their face. They're like,
Yeah.
"We're not that valuable to our
No,
military," but that's a doctrine that I'm proud that we have as Americans, because we do believe in the individual. We do believe that the individual is valuable, and
every
particularly
life
when
is
it's a service
valuable.
member and in combat.
That's exactly right. And a lot of people don't know that they hauled the dead off the battlefield as well.
Mm-hmm.
They clean up the battlefield, not so much for the other side, but for the our side, we try to collect as much as we can. We will collect their dog tags. That's something that we'll get. You know why they're made out of that thin steel? The dog tags. You've
Why?
seen dog tags, because if you're dead on the battlefield, they'll identify this is such and such person. They'll take the dog tags off, stick it in their mouth, and you put you shut their mouth, and it kind of keeps the jaw open, not from coming open. So the body is identified that way. It's the one thing no fighting man wants to hear that story.
No.
All right,
Yeah.
because it's something it makes it real at that point, no doubt about it. All right, so I'm sitting here and I'm ready to go, and except I'm all tangled up in the cords underneath there. I've got it taken care of now. Ryan Norris is here,
Yeah.
Americans for Prosperity. What's going on with you guys this week? You got anything special happening?
Well, fiscal session starts off tomorrow,
Oh boy,
and so we'll be tracking.
let's keep it fiscal.
Yeah. Well, I
Not
think
fiscal.
yeah.
Fiscal.
But the really good news to preface this fiscal session is that Arkansas is sitting in a really good place financially. General revenue has beaten forecast in March. It's at 55 million
Again?
in March alone. Yeah, March alone. And the year-to-date revenues are ahead of forecast by $61 million.
Yeah, this is very good. They can cut taxes.
So that runs into like, where in the world is this coming from? It's coming from income taxes and sales and use taxes. Those are growing. Two of the largest revenue sources, and they're increasing. And that's a good thing because, as you know, we've been talking about the pathway to zero, which is to set Arkansas up for a path that will take the revenue surpluses, compare them against the future projections. If they're equal or higher, the projections are, then you know that you can cut taxes in a safe and responsible way.
Did you say 1% is about $500 million or something?
No,
500 million?
yeah, roughly, but 0.1%, so 0.1 would be about 50 to 55 million.
Oh, okay.
And so just in the surpluses we have now, we could bring it down, bring it down another 1/10 of a point just
Okay.
already based on this year. So the forecast for the budget, it says forecast shows that $334 million surplus in fiscal year 2026 and 310 in fiscal year 2027, even after fully funding the government. So that means there's over collection in taxes. People are struggling.
Means they're taxing us more
they
than they need to.
need that cash in hand right now. And there's nothing better that state government particularly can do for the affordability issue than make sure that people get their money back, that they just never in the absolute, when we work this all the way down to zero, they wouldn't collect it. But in this instance, when they've over collected, it's time to turn that back into a tax cut, which is what they're talking about doing. Definitely talking about doing that, but it has to be a little more. It has to be a little more than a cut. Arkansas's cut, I think, 10 times in the last, 10 or 13 times. I forget which number it is.
Sensational.
Yeah, actually, first tax cut came from Mike Beebe. He was the first one to walk it down 1/10. I give him credit for that. Because taxation, really, when you talk to people in the day, that's not a partisan issue. That is a bipartisan issue. You go and you ask people down in wherever you think the Democratic strongholds are. You talk to the man and woman on the street and ask them, could you use some more money in your pocket? What if you were able to keep all your tax money? Not just your refund, but you got to keep all that you paid in too. And they all look at that and go, yeah, I definitely could use that money more than.
And then the Democrats look at them and say, well, we're not going to do that, but we're going to give a bunch of people some more money.
Yeah. And see, that's the interesting part, Dave. And we've been focusing in on the tax cuts. There's additional conversations going on. I know there was a really great group meeting yesterday of some lawmakers who are looking at the budget and where can we start cutting on Arkansas's budget here in government.
See, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear they're going to lower the taxes, but I want to hear they're going to lower spending.
Yes, and there is appetite definitely with the governor on making sure that Arkansas has a lean, mean budget, and so I know that that's a conversation being had. But I know that there's a group, particularly in the House, and I heard there's over 20, nearly 24, that have started this conversation about how can we do something different in Arkansas budgeting. Arkansas budgeting is a mess. There were like 77 bills filed, for the fiscal session, and so we've had that conversation going on with lawmakers and Americans for Prosperity, talking about comprehensive budgeting, and it can get a little in the weeds on things, but Arkansas is one of the worst approaches to budgeting. We file dozens and dozens, I want to say nearly 100 bills just for budget appropriations. What happens is it starts with the agency saying, here's my wish list. And then you walk that through the committees, and then the committees approve it, and then they throw it out there, and then they piecemeal kind of put it together, and someone's trying to keep up with the tabulation is make sure we're not overspending. But what we should be doing is we should say, here's the budget target. Can we fit government inside that? And that is where I believe that Secretary Hudson has even kind of signaled the governor is interested in that she wants to say, we're going to make Arkansas government this smaller and this size. Let's work that out. And he even spoke in front of the budget committee a few weeks back and referenced that they want to start, squeezing that cost down. And that's good for you as the taxpayer. That means you get to keep more, and that government will focus on its core responsibilities of keeping us safe, protecting our rights. And there is slack in here. When you look at other states and hear about the programs that are being used and abused, I know we haven't focused on Arkansas in that fraud, waste, and abuse, and I know we have good people that are oversighting all this, but it's just built into the nature of some of these programs to be exploited. And as a U.S. taxpayer, seeing what they're finding in Minnesota, California, other locations and things, and then hearing lawmakers get up there, like even just, I'm not a New York City resident, but hearing Mandami get up there and say, if you're affluent, you have to start paying more money. By what right do you get to make that kind of declaration?
He's mayor.
But he can't. Yeah, that's the
so
way
he thinks he's got the right.
Yeah, and I believe that you just can't come and mandate my property away from me, or my intellectual property, or my effort, or my merit, or whatever it is that however you want to categorize and quantify what helps you make a living. I do not think it the right of just an an elected official to walk out and say that. And that's an interesting thing, because when you have conversations with lawmakers, some they reference, well, we still need to fund this, and we still need to, maybe it would be cool if we could start this program. Well, we are programmed out, I think. I think we have enough programs going on. We need to start shrinking those back. But there is this incentive that when you start programs, you have to show that they're working. You don't show they're working by the number of people that get off, the people that sign up. And so it has a perverse incentive to sustain itself. Reagan said there's nothing closer to eternal life than a government program.
And he was right.
And he was right. And so we need to take that to heart and start winding these things down. That true success for individuals is not keeping them on programs that give them an incentive to not succeed. And it is difficult to go from the give a fish to teach to fish, kind of scenario. You have to have there's individual accountability that has to be injected at some point.
Supposedly.
There should be, right?
I agree.
There is nothing that is going to move if the individual does not want to change.
Because look, you and I talk about what supposedly should happen with the tax money. That money should be going in our pocket and not into special groups' pockets of going. I mean, I'm tired of hearing all of that. I've been hearing that now for 73 years.
Whenever you hear about those programs, you need to understand that's coming out of your pocket in one way or another. Even even money coming from the federal government usually requires for the program to have a 50-50, at minimum 50-50 split on the administrative costs of that program. And so that does come out of the Arkansas taxpayers' pocket at the federal level and also at the state level. And then even today, I was listening to a gentleman talking about the cost of even like the Iran war and such. And he made a point that was not just about the Iran war. It's about, he even brought in the Inflation Reduction Act of Biden. And he said, we decided that programs will go on the credit card so that our grandkids and our great grandkids will be paying off this debt. And that's the thing we have to look at too, is that and that's on the federal government level. Now on the state level, we're not allowed to go into debt like that. We have the Revenue Stabilization Act that's helpful in keeping us from going into debt. But it's just a point being made that there are individuals out there in government who do believe that your money is their money. They didn't earn it. They didn't sweat for it. But they think that with the stroke of a pen, they can take it from you. And we need to push back on that during legislative sessions and even also in fiscal sessions.
Let's talk about it some more when we come back. A first break here on the Dave Elswick Show. It's 7:24 on a Tuesday morning, and Ryan Norris is here from Americans for Prosperity. All right, computer froze. All right. Take it outside, thaw it out. And you know how you take it out, right? You first throw it down the elevator shaft. Then you pick it up, and then you...
Let me tell you, I'm about to.
And toss it out into the parking lot.
One of my favorite movie scenes, Dave,
Yes.
is from Office Space and the fax machine.
Yep.
When they take it out there into the field and beat it. There's some days that I want to do that.
There's some days that I look at government programs, and that's what I want to do too. Because that's the thing everybody's got to understand. There's a lot of people who are trying their doggonest to, just give away your money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, give away your money. If there's any kind of program out there, you should be saying, how's this money being spent? And they should have to do an audit and prove to you that it's being spent wisely.
And there are times, we have the audit committee, legislative audit, and they do a good job of staying on top of things, and they've caught things particularly at the local counties level, and and even within programs, they can call individuals in and say, hey, give an accounting for the money that you're spending. But it definitely is that government has gotten too large across the board, state and federal, and we need to start winding some of this back.
Yeah, because it's hard. I mean, you're expecting your legislators to keep an eye on this because you're not close enough to be able to do that. I can't, ask some department here in state government, show me exactly what you spent the money on, and so that I know it's being spent wisely. That doesn't happen. It happens towards the end of this year. They'll gather together again, and all the different department heads are going to come out and they're going to say, here's how much money we spent. Here's how much money we need. And then the politicians decide how much can they give away to other people before you really get ticked off.
Yeah. And, and you're so caught up in trying to make ends meet on the day to day.
Yeah, you're on the treadmill, man. You're running.
Yeah, and you're trying to make that happen. And there's always someone who has a bright idea about using your money for their projects. And no matter how good intentioned it all sounds, I again go back to what Reagan said. They never exhaust themselves by having completed the job or the function of what they were originally intended to do in those programs. And then that just keeps escalating every year. Well, we got to have a cost of living increase. We got to have, these kind of things. Oh,
and not only just for the people we're giving the money to, but to the people who are controlling the money. We got to give them a raise
administrative.
too.
Yeah. And so you're on that hook, and it's just always this weight around you that's dragging you down while you're trying to make ends meet in an economy that has high inflation. The cost of goods is still high, and you need that cash. I mean, going into the store, who would have ever thought that you'd go into the store and you'd walk to the meat counter and you'd see people thinking in terms of trade-offs, like, well, I may not be able to get, steaks this go around. We're going to have to go get the cheaper, you're going to have to go pork or chicken steak or something like that. Yeah. And
we're doing Salisbury steak.
And people are really feeling squeezed about that. Yeah. And there's been some things. There's a positive. One of the positives that has happened is, the working families tax cut has been passed, and that was at least kept us from going, struggling even more. People have a little more money in their paychecks, getting some refunds back,
and the refunds are significant under the Trump tax cut.
There are those that are saying, yes, I do have, higher, they're getting back higher refunds, but it's, that if that wouldn't have passed, if that wouldn't have been made permanent last year, then it would have been even more difficult than right now.
They would just raise taxes some more. That's what the Democrats do. They think that you're made of money.
Yeah.
That's what they think.
Yeah, but I just say keep your eye on all government. Don't just because it has a party, they have a party affiliation. There are plenty of those who have an R who are like, well, Dave, I think your money would best be spent doing this project.
There are big government Republicans as well as there are big government Democrats. Well, I agree. We'll come back and talk about it. We got to take a break. Bill O'Reilly is up now.
If things don't change, can you imagine America in 20 years? Scary thought, isn't it? The good news is we have the power to take our nation back. Stay right here for all the information you need. 101.1, The Answer.
Looking for heavy equipment but don't know where to buy? Purple Wave Auction has you covered. Always online and always no reserve. It's your destination for construction or ag equipment ready to work. We even sell semis, trailers, and fleet equipment for your operation. Best part? It's free to join. Head to purplewave.com. That's purplewave.com. Sign up for a free account and start bidding today. Purple Wave Auction, the easiest and most straightforward way to buy and sell equipment.
Did you hear Congressman Bruce Westerman on the Dave Elswick Show?
Deteriorating case since the Ayatollah kicked the Shah out. And so I've got a sheet that's a rap sheet that's like 5 pages long, single space of the atrocities that Iran has brought on the world in 50 years. And for NATO to kind of kick back and watch from the sidelines, that's pretty rich. But if you look at what's happened in Ukraine, Trump's leadership, we're supplying a lot of military equipment to Ukraine, but Europe is buying that equipment because they realize they've got to have some skin in the game. And I don't know where they will end up on Iran, but they are dependent on energy and fertilizer and all the same things that the world gets, not just from Iran, but from countries that ship through the Strait over there. So they've got skin in the game, whether they realize it or not. And they've also had terrorist activities carried out by Iran or Iranian proxies.
Don't miss Congressman Westerman, Wednesday mornings at 7:30 on the Dave Elswick Show. 101.1, The Answer.
In a very accurate way. These people running Iran, if they get a nuclear weapon, will most likely use it. And yet you have people that don't care about that? What the deuce is wrong with you? Everybody should be united in trying to neutralize Iran. Back in a moment. Homeowners, when is the last time you checked your home title? Scammers are everywhere and they're targeting your equity. With just a single forged document, they can file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use the promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
It's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
It could be for anything. Helping a friend move.
Listening to a fellow veteran for hours, at any hour of the day.
Or just simply making time for people. A neighbor, a loved one, or even a stranger.
We're often the first to help others. There's no question about it.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Dave Elswick is the conservative voice of Arkansas, and he's back. 101.1, The Answer.
Let me tell you something about this rescue of this colonel. They had him climb 7,000 feet up, scaling cliffs and all kinds of stuff. to hide from the Iranian nationals that were wanting to get him and keep him as a piece of propaganda. A camera, check this out, Ryan, a camera from 40 miles away. They kept that camera on him for 45 minutes. He wasn't moving, and they said, probably wrong, but we're seeing something moving now. And in a vast mountain, vast, thick with bushes and trees, quote, we see something moving 40 miles away. It was the head of a human being, the president said. And I'm telling you, it's moving. And then all of a sudden, 45 minutes later, he moved a lot, stood up, and they said, we have him. We've got him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that gives me chills when I hear that. And it says, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said at the press conference with President Trump, quote, in that moment of isolation and danger, his faith and fighting spirit shone through. It's unclear whether the downed airman received help from local residents who are opposed to the Iranian regime or if he toughed it out on his own, but either way, his survival constitutes a faith-driven medical miracle. He treated his own wounds, by the way.
Yeah.
And then he climbed up the mountain.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Tough man.
And he said he went through serious training, but it was a long time ago. But he remembered enough of it that he survived and was able to be rescued. And we thank the Lord for that. We thank the SEAL Team 6 members who were involved in that, and all the other military members that had an active role in this guy surviving. Amazing that he survived, to be honest. It just blows me. I wonder what he thought the first time they said, you got to get up to the top of that mountain. And I don't know if the guy had any broken limbs. I'm going to say that the least I know is that he was bruised up really bad. And to move would have been, pretty doggone painful. I mean, I'm thinking up a few months ago when I slipped in my garage and fell and landed on a dolly that I had laying on the floor. And I fractured one rib, and how much that hurt during the time. I mean, I was amazed at how bad I broke ribs playing football when I was in high school, and they would tape me up and I'd go back out and play some more. I couldn't have done that after this last bout. So I can only imagine what he fought through. He deserves to write a book. And put it out. I'll buy it.
Well, I was actually looking. There was a book I remember reading about a pilot that went down in Vietnam, and he had, one circling little like Cessna, that would know where he was at, and he would broadcast out.
They made a movie of that.
Yeah, it was really good, really good. I read the book, and as a kid, I remember going, man,
Bat something.
Yeah, Bat 21.
Maybe that's
the
number.
That may be it. And it was you just like wow, but. I'm so glad that we have the outcome that we have, and that no one else was hurt. But again, well wishes to his healing and health.
Absolutely. And what did he say first when they got him safe and sound? God is good.
Yeah.
That's it's good. He evidently, from what I've read, he's a guy of really deep spiritual faith.
Yeah.
And he called on that. Mark Siegel's been talking about it. The doctor you see on Fox News a lot. He's written a book about how faith helps a lot of people to heal.
Yeah. I mean, I had a conversation with my daughter the other night. I said, hey, I'm not understanding of how it all works, but I know that when I follow these directions and I reach out to a higher power, that
he comes through most of the time.
Works. Yeah. I'm just like,
whatever way it comes out is the best way.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with God about it.
Yeah.
And now when I'm laying out in the middle of a desert on a mountainside, I'll not barter.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do, Lord. That's fine. Okay. Just take care of me. That's all I ask you to do. And it's really, really great what happened. I mean, it's an exciting thing. By the way, I need to say one more thank you before we get too far into the program. All of you Michigan fans are happy. You took down the mighty UConn. It was a tough game, but you persevered, won it by 6, and in the second half, it was pretty amazing how you just kept fighting back. UConn would come on and close the gap, and then you guys would get hot and go on a 5-0 run or a 10-2 run or whatever, and give yourself just enough padding that you needed to win the game. I mean, it really is amazing. First national championship in basketball for Michigan since 1989. It's the last time they won it. If UConn had won, it would have been their third win in 4 attempts. And they've been there over the last 4 years 3 times in the finals. So Hurley, he's got something going for him as coach. He kind of wills these guys to win.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we had more politicians like that. Would get on the road to zero and say, we ain't moving off of this road. We're gonna get to zero taxation in this state. First place they want to get is as close to 3% as they can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it could be pretty quick, but you're looking at the surplus numbers that we have. That we have a strong savings with our reserve funds. We're in a great place. This is what we've been talking about this whole time, that Arkansas is in a great place as a state financially. Our surpluses are allowing us the opportunity to have these conversations about walking this down over time. That other states are already doing this. There's some urgency to this, that they are out there saying their leaders, their governors, their leaders of their General Assembly are out there talking about, we are going to bring our state down to zero. Arkansas needs to make that strong signal. Now, our governor has. She's been talking to news outlets about this. She's been posting about this, about phasing out the income tax down to zero. To do that responsibly, we need to have that desire put into code. Other states are setting up trigger systems to where, again, you have your surplus, you look at the future projections, and if you can do it, you cut. If not, you don't. So you don't end up in that Kansas situation, which there's a lot about that. It's not as just up and down as they cut taxes. It didn't work. There was a Supreme Court ruling that said, the court said, you all have to put in another $500 million into this education fund or something. And when we were talking to Grover Norquist about it, Grover was like, yeah, they said that, but the Supreme Court is not the purse of the state.
It is the legislators.
The legislators are. So the legislators could have said, nah, we don't think we have to do that. And they could have come up with another way.
Yeah, I tell a great story about Indiana when I was working in Indiana. And I'm from Indiana, and the legislature has gotten more and more conservative as they've gone along. And, back in the Clinton days, Clinton was passing or signing into form unfunded mandates.
Yeah.
And the state governments were, unfunded. And then we're the ones who got to pay it. And so what they did is they kept paying it, but they kept all of the federal tax money for gas that they were collecting in Indiana, and they were paying it with that.
Yeah.
And saying we're not going to take our coffers down just because you say we need to do this. And it ended up that the Democrats and Congress gave up on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we're in a good spot here in Arkansas to signal via some changes. So here's what we have been talking about to lawmakers. One is, yes, you want to lower the income tax,
Yeah.
but even while you do that, either concurrently or as a step, that's the conversation. What Arkansas could do is simplify our tax brackets. I think we have five or eight, depends on who you talk to and how they calculate
And
it.
there's no reason for that.
Yeah, just simplify the bracket, get to an effective flat tax rate to where everybody's paying the same, but you increase the standard deduction so that those that are below that top marginal rate are paying either no or no more taxes than they currently are. And then you walk that down over time to where everybody eventually gets to zero. And as you're paying your taxes, they're due next week, April 15th. Then on the federal side, I don't know if there's any extensions on the states this go around, but not that I remember. But April 15th, you look at the amount you're paying in to the state and imagine what you could do with that money for you and your family if it was in your pocket. And there's those say, well, Ryan, that's how I get my refund is my savings.
Yes.
Well,
all you've been doing is letting the federal government use your money
for free,
yeah, interest free.
And so you still have the federal side, the federal savings, if that's the way that you want to think about your money. But on the state side, you get to keep that in your paycheck and you get to take that home each and every pay period and spend it the way that you want to spend it. If you want to save it, save it. If you want to invest it, invest it. If you want to buy your kids the shoes and clothes they need for, ball or school or whatever it is, then you can do that. You should be the one making the most decisions about where your money is. Because let me say, if you go and you start calculating out how much that you work to fund your government, both at the federal, state, and local levels, you are not keeping as much as you think that you are. I look at I'm like, where in the world's all the money going? Well, off the top, a bunch of it goes away. And when you start seeing the rising cost of insurance premiums, which many people have that taken out of their check and such, I mean, it just is squeezing us more and more and more. So as people head into the polls, they'll be appreciative, if you go and you make a cut. But we've anticipated that Arkansas already does that when there's special sessions called, that they're going to make a cut of 1/2 of a point. And that's nice. But if I'm a person who wants to plan a future, if I want to build a business here in Arkansas, if I, from outside of Arkansas, looking at states and I'm thinking, where can I go to build my plants or my business? And I see that Arkansas is not just making a cut, but they're saying we're going to get to zero, and they're putting in the legislation, the mechanism by which they will get there. I can trust that. Who knows how things will go in Arkansas. I know we're a red state with a majority, super majority right now, but our demographics are changing in central Arkansas. They're changing in northwest Arkansas, and that may not be the case for forever. We've all lived long enough to see the pendulums swinging back and forth. So I think that now is a really good time to go ahead and put those tax cuts and the logic that has been used to say it's time to cut into code. Great job by the General Assembly. Great job by our governors up until this point, doing wonderful work. We all agree on that. But I think for to catalyze the Arkansas economy next, there's nothing better to do than allow people to keep their money that they earn.
Because it's going to churn up and be spent in our state for the most part, and that's a good thing.
Well, I was looking at the article by Mike Wickline about the fiscal session and the revenue surplus that we were just talking about, and in it, I was there was a chart, pie chart, and showing where the sales tax, it looks like, has brought in more money than the income taxes go around.
Wow! And
so that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because people are asking, well, how in the world are we going to pay for all this? Right. Well, the way that is. A couple of ways. One, we've already talked about changing up the Arkansas budget so that we can start squeezing some savings out of that.
Correct.
And then you also have, we've talked about this before, the National Taxpayers Union said net in-migration to Arkansas had a $68 million economic impact in just 2025.
And that's good.
And that's a good thing. So the more people move in, the more revenues are realized. They're spending their money. they're investing their money. They're, so particularly city, local areas that have, they're buying houses and things like that. That helps. So you have that. You have the state sales tax is 6.5%. So you have that. The more people have money in their pocket, the more they're gonna spend that.
They don't put it under their mattress.
Right.
They don't put it in a tin can anymore and stick it under the bed. They just don't do that.
No. And so there's that multiple ways at which we can keep funding the Arkansas government, but it definitely will be a combination of, net in-migration, other areas of taxation. There is no, I want to say this clearly, there is not a state property tax. The state does not collect a property tax. That's your local tax. That's your local. Now, that said, we are working with lawmakers already to talk about property tax reform. So there's some great models out there. National Taxpayers Union and AFP have worked together on truth in taxation to make sure that you're not collecting that even the locals are not getting away with just walking in, assessing your house. You didn't make any more money, but they're now saying you owe a lot more in taxes. We've heard stories where people have had their property taxes like double based on assessments or just changes to the formula and things. So there's groups out there looking at that too. So I'm not unsympathetic to the property tax situation, but we're focused at the moment in this time frame of policy with a potential special session to be called at the end of the fiscal. Let's work on this income tax.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Final break for this hour. And then Ryan and I will return and we'll talk a little bit more about this. If you're watching it on the stream, the show today, you're looking at how the Americans with Taxation are talking about how to get to zero. And we've got the page up in their material that says why it matters. And it's right there, and you can read that information while you're listening to this.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8924. 800-575-8924. That's 800-575-8924.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. You might miss someone who has valuable skills to offer to help your business thrive right now and in the future. Because the truth is this: Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. When you let their story unfold, you gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. See the real person, complete. See what others miss. Hire skills first. Learn why it's a competitive advantage. TearThePaperFeeling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
There's a real battle going on, not only for our future, but that of our children and grandchildren. How do we ensure they have it better than we do? One way is to keep listening to us. We're your information source in the battle. 101.1, The Answer. Now, back to the Dave Elswick Show. 101.1, The Answer.
All right, back with you, Dave Elswick Show. Next hour, I want to talk to Ryan about freedom of speech. That's something that the folks at his organization is concerned about, as well as everybody else here in the country. We have that built into our Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
There are other countries that say that they're free countries that don't have that built in, and they're trying to crack down on ministers reading from the Bible.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you about that when we come back in the next hour after the news. So, keep it here because I'm going to talk about it. I want him to finish up, though, this whole pathway to zero.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're growing momentum for it. We've had even the new state senator, Brad Simon over there in West Arkansas signed up recently and said, hey, I want to be a part of that. So he's now, taking over the remainder of the late Senator Gary Stubblefield's time in office. But he came to an AFP Pathway to Zero and said, hey, I like this concept. I like this idea. And he should know. He's sitting there on the border with Oklahoma, who's making this already making this a priority for themselves as a state.
They're pushing to get to zero.
Yeah.
Mississippi is pushing to get to zero. Tennessee is already at zero.
You already have Texarkana that is, they're at the Texas border and they get a border adjustment,
because they're right up against a state that has no.
Yes. And then you have even student athletes at the University of Arkansas that do not pay.
That's right.
State income tax on what they get paid as student athletes
because of their name, image, likeness.
Yeah. And so if they the argument was if we didn't pay or if we didn't exempt them from state income taxes, then they would go to other states that had low or no income taxes because we want to try to attract the best players. Well, I agree. I want to do the same thing with plumbers, with electricians, with engineers, with teachers, with everybody. If the logic holds for one, it should hold for all. It's a categorical imperative. Pull back, way back there, Immanuel Kant philosophy. But, I just think that if it works, and I'm not upset about them paying zero income taxes. I just say that it's proof that if you want to keep the best, you have to have the best tax environment.
That's right.
And Arkansas is situated to potentially do this. I think that it will happen under this governor, and I'm pleased about that. We want to be supportive of the good work that she and the leadership of the General Assembly are putting together to make this happen. And we want everyone to know out there that this is a conversation. It's a real conversation. And your voice, if you think that getting Arkansas to a pathway to zero is the way to go, reach out to us at thepathwaytozero.com. Reach out to contact us. Right now, we're trying to collect stories about what this would mean for you and your business so that we can get those to your lawmakers and they can hear from you. They need to hear from the grassroots or just from the citizens that this would be a net benefit to them within their districts. And we have over 40 that have signed up so far, House and Senate side combined, and we're pushing that even higher. There's 135 total, and we need to get to better than 50% in each one so that we can get this done.
I think every Republican who hasn't signed on for this should have to come on the show and say why they don't support it.
Yeah. Well, there are some who said, no, don't support it. And we're withholding their names right now because we're giving grace periods to let them, sort this out themselves for a little bit. But, if you are within these districts, we'll be reaching out to you and asking you to reach out to your lawmaker.
News is next.
Freedom has a frequency, and it's 101.1. The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
Market deteriorate significantly. Her general preference is for the Fed to keep its benchmark interest rate unchanged for quite some time. Ed Donahue, Washington.
And of this morning's opening bell, Dow futures down 185 points, and NASDAQ futures off 167. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this: Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
A White House show of support for a Trump ally overseas.
Vice President J.D. Vance is visiting Hungary's capital to support Prime Minister Viktor Orban's campaign only days before a pivotal election. Vance will meet Orban and appear at a campaign rally, signaling strong backing from the Trump administration. Orban, in power since 2010, faces a tough race against a centre-right party. Critics accuse Orban of undermining Hungary's institutions and media, which he denies. Most polls show Orban trailing ahead of the April 12 vote, prompting him to boost his profile by appearing with international backers. I'm Charles Tillerson.
War crime charges have been filed against Ben Roberts-Smith, Australia's most decorated living military veteran, accused of killing 5 unarmed Afghans while serving in Afghanistan from 2009 to 2012. Roberts-Smith has denied any wrongdoing. News and analysis at townhall.com. J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon warns that a resilient U.S. economy could face renewed inflation pressures if the war in Iran disrupts global energy markets. The Wolverines are this year's March Madness champions.
Michigan has won its first NCAA title in men's basketball in 37 years. Elliot Cadeau's game-high 19 points powered the top-seeded Wolverines past second-seeded UConn 69-63 in Monday's national championship game in Indianapolis. Cadeau was named the tournament's most outstanding player. It's Michigan's second title in program history and first since 1989. The Wolverines led 33-29 at halftime and never led by more than 11 in the second half. Alex Caravan's 17 points paced the Huskies. UConn was denied its third national title in 4 years and its 7th in program history. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
More on these stories, townhall.com.
Right here in our backyard, sellers trust Purple Wave Auction to move their equipment, from excavators and ag equipment to trucks and specialty trailers. Our no-reserve online auctions help local sellers turn iron into opportunity. You get a dedicated territory manager who knows your operation, your market, and your timeline, backed by nationwide buyer demand, local service, national reach, real results. See why more sellers choose Purple Wave. Visit purplewave.com to get started today.
So how lucky are you and myself to have a constitution that guarantees freedom of speech?
Very, very forward thinking by our founders.
It was, all right, because in Canada, there is now a hate speech bill that's drawing backlash from critics who warn it could chill religious speech and expose some people to prosecution for just quoting the Bible. The bill is C9, the Combating Hate Act, introduced by Canadian Liberal Justice Minister Sean Fraser. It passed the House of Commons, that'd be like our House of Representatives, on March 25th, and now heads to the Canadian Senate. The measure would expand Canada's hate speech laws, create a new hate crime offense, and add penalties for intimidating or blocking people from accessing houses of worship, cultural spaces, schools, senior residents, and cemeteries. The sharpest criticism of the bill focus on the repeal of a long-standing defense for religious speech in some criminal hate speech cases. Christian and Muslim groups say the change could chill sermons, religious debate, and other faith-based expression, while the liberal government and some Jewish advocacy groups say the bill is aimed at combating anti-Semitism, not criminalizing religion. Well, if you can end up being fined or end up losing your freedom, that's a bill that's weaponizing speech. That's exactly what that is. That's going down. Andrew Lawton, a Canadian Conservative member of Parliament who opposes the bill, said the legislation could leave faith communities vulnerable to prosecution for sharing their beliefs or even quoting scripture. Quoting now from this gentleman, Bill C9 makes it easier for people of faith and others to be criminally charged because of views that other people take offense to. The bill weakens protections for freedom of expression and freedom of religion, especially with the removal of the long-standing religious defense, which has stipulated that religious beliefs and religious texts expressed in good faith cannot be seen as hateful. He went on to say the bill's safeguards are not enough, warning that liberal officials have already signaled that people could be prosecuted for quoting certain passages from the Bible. Quote, it's not for government to decide which religious beliefs are legitimate or not, he added. People of faith can and should debate this, but it's incredibly concerning when a liberal cabinet minister says that certain verses of scripture are so inherently hateful that prosecutors should be able to press charges against those who quote them. During a House Justice Committee meeting last October, Liberal Party member Mark Miller, Minister of the Canadian Identity and Culture, suggested certain passages from the Bible were inherently hateful towards homosexuals and questioned the criminal code's initial carve-out for religious statements made in good faith. Just goes to show that's freedom of expression, even with our next door neighbor, is not necessarily freedom of expression.
Well, if it had not been for the First Amendment, none of the positive changes that have taken place from the founding till now, because we were founded as an experiment, and they were interjecting this experiment in the middle of
a war
of human history, and in the broader scope of human history, where they interjected this idea about liberty and freedom and the individual being important. It wasn't perfect, but protecting the ability to speak your mind and to challenge the status quo they understood to be so important to continue improvement iterations in our country. But for that, you would not have had, they would have repressed speech about ending slavery. They could have if we didn't have this. And that could have been a real thing at the time. They could have repressed speech about women's rights to vote, things like that.
And they tried to do that with Adams,
Alien and Sedition
and
Acts.
he passed the Alien
Yeah.
Sedition Act.
And I love Adams, but that was the biggest miss.
That was
big
missing
miss.
the whole thing about freedom. Sure was.
Right. And that was partially because he was going after his political opponents, and they said, no, you can't use this way, and it was an extreme way of doing it. But there's still ways that is attempted to be tried to go after your political opponents by suppressing speech. We see that even happen here with some bills in Arkansas. And the whole idea is that, we want to make sure that speech is controlled, that it's certified, that it's allowed, kind of thing. And it's interesting to hear that conversation go back and forth, because you'll have folks that go out there and say, I'm for absolute free speech, except no, that's not how truth works. That's not how this marketplace of ideas works. The good ideas will always rise to the top when giving equal footing with the bad ideas. And our argument is at AFPs that what is best to dilute untruthful or wrong ideas is more good ideas to be talked about. So if you're standing on the sidelines and you're complaining that one side is louder than the other, get your ideas into the marketplace. Get out here and talk. All of us have access to the internet now. Post, blog, do something that put your voice into the mix and into the conversation.
Send a direct message to your legislators.
You can, and you have that right. And you can also go and stand on the street corner and tell people about the way that you think are fit.
I don't know if that is, if I can go along with that, because of what's happened in Batesville and what's happened in Hot Springs.
That's gonna come up. That's gonna have to be shown to be, and I think it hasn't it? They were exonerated from that, right? He wasn't.
Not that I know of.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that's still going, I just think that the higher up that goes, it's, I think, on its face, a constitutional valid.
Of course.
But that just means that we have to push back and hold individuals accountable. Find out who is not living to the intention of the First Amendment. If they're if they are someone who swears that they're going to uphold the Constitution of the United States and they're not doing that, the voters need to know about that.
You need to get them out as soon as possible.
Yeah, and that's the way we fix that issue. Because I watch some of these news reports and reels and posts that are coming from Europe, and I am so glad to be an American that lives in this country 250 years.
I don't want to be in the UK right now, where if I'm just bowing my head and saying a prayer out in public, I can be accosted by a police officer, a Bobby in this case, and put under arrest.
Yeah. And that's what they were setting up, to where you would be protected and being able to speak your mind. And that's the genius of the founding. So everyone who ever comes to me and says, "Oh, Ryan, we just need to totally etch a sketch everything," I'm like, "No, we don't. No, we don't.
It's a sketch. I like that.
That's not what we need to do with our Constitution. We need to get back to first principles as a people and live out what we believe." I have been places that I didn't agree with the people there. I didn't agree with the things they said, but I went, I listened, and guess what? Yet I live. I was, my existence was not erased because I heard things that I didn't agree with. And I was even allowed to share my ideas and my opinions and my beliefs as well. And so that's where you have to get to. Democracy and our form of government was written by adults for adults. This is not for children. I see these reels of conversation and debate, particularly back in the day when Charlie Kirk would go to campuses and he would say, he would have people come up and chat. And even with, I've seen this with Ben Shapiro, with just all the conservative minded folks that are trying to work with the youth. And there are many times someone to get up there and say, well, that speech makes me feel uncomfortable. Well, guess what? Grow up, Buttercup. This is real life. And you're going to hear things you don't agree with. There's things I have to hear about myself that I don't like to hear. Sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes it's true. And I have to decide how I'm going to process that.
Or as I put it, put on your big girl panties and just deal with it.
Yeah, I like my version a little bit better, but I get where you're coming from on that. because it is. This is an experiment in which people were thought that, hey, this will work if people are respectful of each other, if they're holding true to certain principles, and they're not trying to erase somebody else's rights.
Now let's consider that this already went through their House of Commons, their kind of representatives, and they had a meeting before it went to the floor to be voted on. When it was passed, it's a C9 again, and one of the ministers on the liberal side, here is a direct quote from a meeting about this bill. In Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Romans, there are passages with clear hatred towards, for example, homosexuals, Miller said. And this is right off the hearing transcript. Quote, I don't understand how the concept of good faith could be invoked if someone were literally invoking a passage from, in this case, the Bible, though there are other religious texts that say the same thing. How do we somehow constitute this as being said in good faith? Clearly, there are situations in these texts where statements are hateful. They should not be used or invoked or be a defense. Now, that's from the liberal MP on the House Justice Committee. And, that's just like saying, well, you can say whatever you want, but you can't say that because that's hate speech. That's like saying, yeah, we're pigs and we're all equal, but some pigs are more equal than others.
Yeah, I mean, that has been one of the truest statements that I've ever read in literature, is that there are those who are like, hey, these citizens are a little more important than these citizens over here. And I don't agree with that. Government shouldn't be used to disadvantage nor advantage any particular group. And it should be there to keep us all equal under the law and be the arbiter of when that comes in conflict, and skew towards freedom for the individual when that conflict arises. Keep us safe, protect our rights. That should be as simple as our government gets.
I agree.
And when it starts moving outside the scope, Dave, it starts picking winners and losers. It starts deciding, who within the government has, who has connections to those that are in power, and how can I exploit that for my own individual gain? I mean, I hear this all the time. Well, hey, Ryan, you guys are about decrease in taxes. Well, with our organization or with our association, we pay taxes on X, Y, and Z, and it should be great if we didn't. Like, well, what makes you better than anybody else other than, you're up there lobbying for yourself? Well, we try to lobby for fairness, and we lobby for the people, because usually at the end of the day, I think it's Benjamin Franklin who said, you get a group of people together and usually results in a conspiracy against the public. And that's usually what happens. It's like, how can we use government? If government is part of your business plan, you probably have a really bad business plan. If it requires government to keep you in business, that's not a free market approach. We've already learned this, and we all do not agree across the political spectrum. No one agrees about the too big to fail, but we've seen government go in and bail out, the banks in Silicon Valley whenever they went insolvent because they had
car companies.
Yeah, car companies, you name it. We've been watching this ever since I was born. There's some kind of, it's just too big of an industry. And who pays for it? The taxpayer. We're now at $39 trillion. We're used up our credit card.
And climbing.
And we've used up our credit card, my grandkids' credit card, and my great-great-grandkids' credit card now, with how much that we have spent definitely at the federal level. And we've got to start reversing that. But too many people have their hands in the till, and they don't want to give that up. And
they like to have to be buy a vote.
They're going to have to be tough, tough conversations to be had, and people's sacred cows will probably have to go to right size our budget, reduce the deficit, reduce the debt. That's a national security issue. And we've got to address that at some point. So budget reform, tax reform, that's the key ingredients to making the economy, grow and grow again.
Okay. We got to get our first break in for the 9 o'clock hour, 8:21 on a Tuesday. Ryan Norris, my special guest, chair of the, Americans for Prosperity group here in Arkansas. We'll be back to talk more with him in just a moment on the Dave Elswick Show.
$5 billion each year dealing with termites and repairing the damage they cause. If you don't have a termite warranty policy, you could end up paying for expensive repairs. But thanks to the Bugman, you can be protected. They use the most effective products available. Whether it's a new construction or you already have a termite problem, the Bugman will help you protect your investment. Call the Bugman at 663-9464 or go to bugman.com and check out their coupons for savings. That's bugman.com.
Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
When Republicans have even a whiff of scandal, what do we hear? Resign, step down, zero tolerance. Where is the Democratic Party? Where is the outrage? Where is the moral clarity? What do we hear from cable news? Nothing.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or SalemPodcastNetwork.com. Chris DeGaulle believes what he sees.
I can't say, gee, I don't want an impact on oil prices for 3 to 4 weeks, 2 months, and let Iran have a nuclear weapon and let them blow up the Middle East and beyond. I have to do what's right. I believe him. I think he's that consequential. History will be the judge, but I believe him when he says I had to do what was right.
The Chris DeGaulle Show, weekday mornings at 6, right before Dave Elswick at 7 on 101.1 The Answer. The Dave Elswick Show is back, 101.1 The Answer.
All right, back with you here in the studios of 101.1 FM The Answer, the Dave Elswick Show. Ryan Norris is here with me. I got to laugh when I look at these liberals over in Canada. Let me just quote from one of them. Canada's commitments to freedom of religion is unwavering. Freedom of religion is a fundamental guarantee under Section 2A of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Nothing in this amendment changes that, Fraser said in a statement released on December 9th. Canadians will always be able to pray, preach, teach, interpret scripture, and express religious belief in good faith without fear of criminal sanction. Fraser didn't immediately respond for comment after he said this. According to data released by Canada's government in March, police reported hate crimes have risen for 6 years in a row and are up 160% since 2018. Canada, Scotland, Australia, and the European Union have all moved in recent years to strengthen hate crime or hate speech legislation. In Malta, a Christian man faced jail time after being prosecuted for publicly sharing his testimony of leaving the homosexual lifestyle. He was found not guilty in March after a 3-year legal battle. And I rest my case right on that. They say they're not against religion. BS. Absolutely BS is what it is.
Well, I mean, it's just speech in general is under attack, even in spaces like, like we said, in Britain and in Europe. Even if you're not speaking religiously, but you have opinions about what's going on in current events, and you have an opinion that seems to be opposed to the government,
shut up.
They will shut you down.
That's right. They just say shut up, and if you don't, we'll put you in jail.
Yeah, and so it's really interesting to see that this keeps coming up. But that's why
it keeps coming up because it's fair warning for us. It's like going, you cross the border, let's say into Canada, and you look up at the flags on a beach and it's got red flags up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because, they're worried that there's going to be something bad happen because of whatever's going on. Well, once you cross the border, if it's a red flag that's up, where are they leaning and what do they believe?
Yeah. And you even have Supreme Court revised free speech lawsuit. This Democrat Gazette article on March the 21st talked about how the High Court unanimously ruled in the case of Gabriel Oliver, who says that his religious and free speech rights were violated when he was arrested for refusing to move his preaching away from a suburban amphitheater. City said that he shouted insults and had other, speech that they didn't approve of, and
they shut him down.
They shut him down, but it looks like the Supreme Court was like, "Hey, this seems to be a space in which his free speech was violated."
Well, that's what happened up in Batesville. A guy was out, a street preacher was out preaching the gospel, and he was talking about, homosexuals, and that that according to the Bible, it was a sinful behavior, and the city government shut him down.
Mm.
They pulled him off the street. They made him go to jail, in fact, if I'm not mistaken. And then the guy that was down in Hot Springs had a sign that he was carrying by another group that was protesting and were promoting the LGBTQRST lifestyle, and they told him he had to put down his placard,
mm-hmm.
or he was going to go to jail. So don't think that it doesn't go on in the USA. It does, and it goes on here in Arkansas as well.
Well, again, you even have in this article that I referenced from March in the DemGaz, to where it was Justice Elena Kagan who wrote for the court in this unanimous ruling that this gentleman could continue a lawsuit against, it looks like, against the local city for abridging his free speech. And she's not a conservative,
mm-hmm.
but she, in this instance, she said it looks like there's a violation of free speech, and he can pursue his lawsuit. So it is important. It's just like Jefferson said, I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. We all have to be in that space. Otherwise, truth will become forfeit, and we will not be able to deal in realities, which then will mean we don't get the best information. We don't make the best decisions about the solutions to solve our problems. And it just will exacerbate mistrust in the people and in its government. That's why that First Amendment is so important, that we keep that in as absolute consideration as possible. It's just that important. Without the freedom to offend, or the freedom to even be wrong in public conversation, truth will never be realized.
All right, got to take a break. Got to get to the news. Let's do that right now.
Ways to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, or the U.S. will destroy key infrastructure. Iran's president claims that 14 million Iranians have volunteered to sacrifice their lives in the war. President Trump spoke with the Artemis II astronauts after their history-making journey around the far side of the moon. They are now on their way back home. They're due back Friday with splashdown off the coast of San Diego. Cuba's communist dictatorship gets moral support from a couple of Democratic lawmakers. They visited the island announcing what they call failed U.S. policy. And Bangladesh conducting emergency measles, rubella vaccinations, trying to contain an outbreak that has killed more than 100 children. More details at srnnews.com.
These are uncertain times. Ongoing geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and beyond continue to shake global markets, driving up energy costs and creating widespread volatility. Gold has responded as history shows it does, climbing to new highs as a proven safe haven against inflation and unrest. Silver follows strong, offering even more protection for diversified portfolios. Call True Gold Republic at 800-300-GOLD for your free guide on protecting your retirement. If you're 55 or older, approaching or enjoying retirement, and have significant savings, you understand why stability matters now more than ever. Paper assets can vanish in a crisis, but precious metals have endured for generations. True Gold Republic helps Americans like you protect what you've built with real gold and silver IRAs. Call 800-300-GOLD for your free wealth protection guide today. No obligation, just information. Consult your tax professional before investing. Call 800-300-4653. That's 800-300-GOLD.
He's Donald Trump's #1 enemy in Congress, Chicago politician Dick Durbin. Now, Durbin has a new scheme. He's doing the dirty work to benefit corporate megastores. Durbin's bill could cut corners on your credit card security, putting your personal data at risk. Big chain retailers and warehouse stores want to inflate their profits, and liberal Dick Durbin would help them do it. Tell senators, say no to the megastores and Dick Durbin. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait. And don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The news never stops, and neither does your schedule. That's why we're here, keeping you up to date with all the biggest stories of the day. We're 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The conservative voice of Arkansas, The Dave Elswick Show on 101.1 The Answer.
All right, back with you. We've got Ryan for another about 25 minutes here on the Dave Elswick Show. We'll take a look at the news and look at bringing you up to date on what's going on over in the Middle East and other news that you might need to know about. And then at 10 o'clock, the newly elected sheriff from Saline County will join us on the Dave Elswick Show, and we'll find out what are some things that he thinks needs to be done and that he'll try to do when he takes over at the beginning of the year. So that's all coming up your way here on the show, on the Dave Elswick Show, until 11 a.m. today. All right, so let's go back and look at, again, what Ryan has been talking about. We want to talk about what's going on as far as people are concerned with the tax system. Do you feel that we should continue to, work towards a zero sales tax here in Arkansas? I think we should.
Income tax.
Or income tax.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that Mississippi is, Oklahoma is, Missouri is, and those are 3 states that all touch on us. The folks in Louisiana have gone down to 3%. Texas doesn't have a sales tax. Tennessee doesn't have a sales tax.
Income tax.
Yeah. I keep seeing sales tax. I'm sorry. It's an income tax.
You must have paid a high sales tax recently.
Yeah,
or
I
something.
just yeah.
But yeah,
I don't like either of those taxes.
So there's multiple ways of looking at this as to why would this be the right thing to do. One, I just think it's the right thing to do because you tax things that you want to disincentivize, that, and earnings should not be that. Income should not be that. You want people to want to achieve more, to work more, to create more value, and to benefit from that value they create through those earnings. So on a principle of just that it's the right thing to do by people, that the harder you work, the more you should, be able to keep of your money. That's one way of looking at it. The other is that other states who are interested in economic investment in their states understand that business looks at where can I go to where our money will go further, faster, and return our profit. We'll hit our break evens earlier, etc. And many of the businesses that are filed as LLC pass-through companies. So it's individuals who own the business. They're not corporations, and they would benefit from zeroing out the state income tax as well. Again, over time, responsibly, with triggers, so that we know that when we have the surplus and the projections are equal or greater than to that surplus, then we know that it's going to be safe to cut. And there are states that are utilizing this and it's working. And then there are states that are moving towards this. Missouri is putting theirs, I believe, to a question on the ballot to where they'll be able to vote for it there in Missouri. You have other states like Louisiana that are putting it into code. Mississippi's putting it into code. Oklahoma's working to put it into code. And this is where we're at. So we could end up being a donut hole if we do not act quickly. I think the anticipated special session after the fiscal session will be a space in which they do something significant. But the voter is looking around saying, I need a reason to vote. We had low voter turnout. We had low voter turnout in Republican primaries, particularly. And the question is that what will energize that base to say, I need a reason to keep the status quo, politically speaking. And I need something I feel like really benefits me and my family. And right now, it's the economy against, economy's stupid, quoting Carville, who I think just nailed it, got it right. He understood that calculus. And so right now, everything that's being pointed at is the cost and spending of government. I even heard it on NPR today, highlighting, I would say complaining, that's me projecting on them, but highlighting how much it cost to rescue that down pilot, how much it's cost on this Iranian, conflict that we're currently in, what we're spending on that. Normally, that hasn't been much conversation, and I've listened for years to NPR. They haven't complained about government spending and costs on things much, but they understand that the electorate is interested in their personal finances, and their personal finances are connected to the finances of the government, both state and local. And they want to highlight to people that they think their government is spending money in a way that the people on, NPR hiding list are trying to put into the minds of the people. They shouldn't be spending the money this way. So again, it goes back to why is that? Because affordability is in the mind of the voter. So they're trying to tie everything they can to the incumbent party so that they can say your economy is bad because of them. Arkansas is in a similar situation. You need to have a reason, create a reason, a red meat approach that gets your electorate fired up again to go out and vote for you in the general election. And I think that for conservatives and those that lean conservative, particularly fiscally conservative, passing a package of legislation that says Arkansas is now committed to a pathway to zero income tax in the state, again, in a responsible way as we can afford it, is the right move to make. Principally, for prosperity's sake in our economy, and also even politically. Good policy makes good politics. And there isn't anything right now that I'm hearing from the Arkansas voter says, you know what, they did this thing and it made my life better, and therefore I'm going to go out and vote for them again. That enthusiasm just is not there. There needs to be a reason to vote for a candidate. When AFP gets involved in engagements, in political engagements, we never run negative campaigns. We are running campaigns that say, vote for this person because their policies that they support will make your quality of life better. The voter needs to feel that. They need to believe that. They need to see that. And I think that this, if you just cut 1 or 2 tenths of a point, that's cool. That's going to make you feel better. But is it enough to carry conservative politicians through the midterms in November? I don't think that has those kind of legs to it. But saying we're going to get you to zero over time will make business and industry excited. It will make the electorate excited because they're going to be able to go earn more. The more they earn and the more those surpluses continue to grow, that gets turned back in the way of a tax cut.
And if they pass bills that will reduce income tax in the state, it's much more difficult to overturn than if the president signs an executive order or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't do it that way per se.
Well, you can, but after 4 years, you might as well, say we're going to go back to the way it was.
Yeah. Well, we have to preserve ourselves at home first. A lot of what is the negatives seem to be based on national politics. People take out, and I had this conversation with a candidate the other day. He said, I go to places, I'm talking to them, and they're taking out frustrations on me that I did not contribute to. That's a national conversation, not a local, but I feel like I'll be held accountable for what the national folks are doing. So that means Arkansas state conservatives need to put forward an agenda, particularly in tax policy, that people can say, okay, you're on my side now. I get this. Because right now, people are feeling very disenfranchised. When you look at some of these vote turnouts, particularly in Pulaski County, they are concerning if you are a conservative politician and conservative candidate. All things are on the table. And there was the flip of House District 70 from a contentious, anybody could win it, to where it was substantial win for the Democrat candidate in this go around. So I just highlight that there is principled reasons to zero out the state income tax. There are policy reasons to do this, and there's good politics in doing this. And I think it's necessary, and you need to do it sooner rather than later, because there's nothing to put on a mailer right now that makes the voter say, oh yeah, that's worth getting up and, getting frustrated on a Tuesday to go and vote in November over. There's going to be lots of reasons as to why not to vote. Give them something to vote for. Give them a vision of a better future and the policy steps on how we're going to get there.
Well, is running the campaign, should you be saying, if you're liking the way things are going and your lower taxes and things of that nature, you have to keep in such and such a candidate? Is that the way that they need to run their campaign?
Well, I don't think that that's quite good enough in a way, because the memory of the electorate is very short. And so they're asking, what have you done for me now? And since the time of the last tax cuts, even here at the state level, yes, we're getting to keep more money, but the money that we're keeping is being consumed by higher prices, by higher energy cost, by higher utility bills. We're seeing all of that happen in real time, and we're not feeling even the good things that have happened. I think that it's time for a policy to be passed that helps people feel it, but also see that the future will be better.
Yeah, we'll keep on cutting.
Yeah, and I think that's that's important. I go back to the 3 Ps. It's good on principle, it's good on, and it's good on politics.
Well, I'm not, I don't disagree with you. I think it's interesting that if you look at the polls are national, that the Democratic Party is in the crapper. They're like at 36% of people who think they're doing right. The Republican Party is at about 43%, but the president is lower than what the party is.
Yeah.
And that's because at the pump, people are paying more money.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what are we going to do about that? What can we do about that here in Arkansas? Well, we can give people back these surpluses that we're collecting in terms of being as tax cuts, because anything that requires us to subsidize somebody else's life, paying for utilities, paying for home, that's not solving the problem. There are what we're working on at AFP right now is, as we look forward to our 2027 agenda and our Believe in Arkansas blueprint that will be coming out in midsummer, is tax policy, budget reform policy, property tax policy, housing policy to put more housing units here in Arkansas in some way, shape, or form, healthcare policies that move us towards more free market approaches, because right now the costs keep going up and up and up and up and up and up, and we're paying more and more and more and more. But we were promised that the Affordable Care Act and other healthcare program schemes would be lowering the cost, but that hasn't never been realized. It's only gone up and up. And so there are things that we could work on, but every single one of these things have someone, Dave, who is benefiting from the status quo being the status quo. And so that's where it's important that if you're a citizen and you feel like your life is being squeezed financially, that you're having difficulty finding housing, that your property taxes keep going up and your paycheck is not going up to correspond to being able to pay that you don't have enough money in your budget at the end of the month, and more tax relief would be helpful. Work with us at AFP. Become a citizen leader where you are leading a fight. We will help equip you to lead these kind of fights and discussions, and to make sure that you can use your free speech to get your voice into the public spaces, into where your lawmakers are, and have them hear you out. When the constituents rise up and say, hey, this is what we need, lawmakers tend to listen. And if they don't, there's usually extraneous circumstances that are going on that we need to figure out.
Then there's another shot at them during the primary.
Yeah. And so, there's that. So make sure that your lawmakers are there for your interest. And it's not just the interest of just the business owners. It's not the interest of just, those that are doing well and affluent and all of that. It's for the everyday citizen too. That's where AFP has tried to situate ourselves as the citizens lobbyist for the problems you have in life, making sure that we can identify what those problems are. What are those root causes of those problems? It always tends to go back to government policy, and then we help change the policy.
When the government gets involved, prices go up.
Yes.
They don't necessarily go down. All right, 8:48, time for a break. Let's take that now. It's our final break during this hour. Ryan Norris has another segment still with us here on the Dave Elswick Show on 101.1 The Answer.
Looking for heavy equipment but don't know where to buy? Purple Wave Auction has you covered. Always online and always no reserve. It's your destination for construction or ag equipment ready to work. We even sell semis, trailers, and fleet equipment for your operation. Best part? It's free to join. Head to purplewave.com. That's purplewave.com. Sign up for a free account and start bidding today. Purple Wave Auction, the easiest and most straightforward way to buy and sell equipment.
President Trump has triggered a $200 billion tech disruption, and Wall Street is asleep at the switch. This $200 billion investment in chip technology could make today's artificial intelligence chips obsolete. Technology that will make today's AI data centers a thing of the past, like IBM's old mainframes. While most investors are focused on old-fashioned AI, there are three companies quietly building a $1 trillion triangle that could transform every tech sector on Earth. These three companies are gearing up to develop and manufacture supercomputers the size of a dinner plate. Institutions like Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street are pouring more than $200 billion into this AI revolution. Investment guru George Gilder has been predicting tech revolutions for more than 40 years, including the iPhone, Netflix, and Amazon. Now he's got his finger on three companies whose technology will change tech forever. Log on to $1,000,000,triangle.com to find out which three companies are working on what could be the biggest tech disruption since the internet. $1,000,000,triangle.com. That's $1,000,000,triangle.com.
What is dedication? The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. the craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The Dave Elswick Show continues now. 101.1, The Answer.
All right, let's finish up this hour with Ryan. He'll have been with us at that point for 2 hours, and we've talked taxes, tax cuts, and you might be saying, don't you have anything else to talk about? Oh, yeah. The fiscal session, we told you.
Yeah, fiscal session
today.
starting.
They're over. So if you're itching in your back side by your wallet, it's because
they're talking about
they're back in session again, and anything can happen whenever you get this whole group together. I would hope that we'll see some movement on all of this, dealing with what the Arkansas legislation or legislators will do during the fiscal session. I think a tax cut will be one of the things that they include in the fiscal session.
Well, they can in the fiscal, but they are talking about in the special.
Okay.
Yeah, that they're talking about in the special. So
why can't they do it in the fiscal? Because it deals with money.
Well, it's a policy change. It's not a just moving the checkbook, moving the checkbook. It's kind of the way that I describe it. So that's why they're looking at a special session, is to address that.
They happen right after the fiscal session.
Yeah, right after the fiscal session.
Yeah, so keep that in mind, and that does cost taxpayers money.
Yeah, it does
to do that.
Yeah, and so the preference is that all this gets handled, of course, in general session. That's the cost-effective way of doing it. However, Arkansas again is in this competition to attract citizens, attract business into our state. Other states that have year-round, every year legislatures, which I am not advocating for, by the way, but they have that opportunity to address tax policy at any given time. We don't have that, so special sessions are the way that the governor and the leaders of the General Assembly approach that. It's been effective. Every time we've pretty much had a special session, I think it's come with a tax cut associated to it. But now we need to do something bolder than just 1 2/10 of a cut.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Is there a possibility, because of the broken promises, the mismanagement, and the high taxes in California, that a Republican governor, could be elected?
Maybe. And, I'm interested in this Tom Tiffany. Is it in Wisconsin? Tom Tiffany running for governor, I believe. I
don't know him.
He seems to be outpolling the Democrat.
Well, that's what's happening in California.
And so I think that there with the right candidate and the right policies, you can insulate your state politics from the national politics. And I think Arkansas needs to do that. Again, take the special session opportunity and do something big and bold on taxation, to where even those that come in and have red fiscal policy, but maybe blue on social policy, but they vote for you because of their pocketbook, because it's the economy stupid, like Harville has said. Now's your chance to do something like that. Don't let, this is a way to stem the blue wave that is being talked about and anticipated in November.
Okay, so you got 8 candidates right now out in California, and for their primary, it's a jungle primary. In other words, everybody goes into the primary, and the top 2 finishers face off against each other to see who's going to be a governor. Right now, Steve Hilton, a conservative commentator, is at 16%, and Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco is at 14%. Of the 8 Democratic candidates, 3 are tying on top at about 10%. U.S. Representative Eric Swalwell, former Congresswoman Katie Porter, and billionaire Tom Steyer are all tied at the top, but they're 3, 4, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that when Californians go to the polls, if they basically vote for who we're seeing this poll says is leading, the 2 top vote getters would be Republicans.
Yeah.
And that would bar any Democrats from being able to run.
Yeah.
It would be interesting.
Yes, 100%.
It would be really interesting. The state uses the top 2 system, in which every candidate is listed on a single ballot, regardless of party affiliation, and the 2 highest vote getters advance to the general election. Because polls have shown 2 Republicans advancing to the general election, it raises a possibility that Democrats could be locked out of the race for governor. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Something to watch, because they'll be voting here shortly for their primary. Okay, here's what CNN found about the parties. Voters don't like either political party at the moment, but they dislike the Democrats more. Still, Democrats are ahead in voting intentions for the midterm elections due to greater Democratic enthusiasm to vote against Trump. Just 28% of Americans hold a favorable view of the Democratic Party, with the Republicans Party a few points higher at 32%, in large part because Republicans take a more positive view of their own party than do Democrats. Compared to the midterm in President Donald Trump's first term, both the president and the Democrats have grown less popular, while Trump's 35% approval rating is 7 points lower than it was at this point in the 2018 midterms. The Democratic Party's net favorability has shifted from about even then to net negative by nearly 30 points.
Yeah.
So you can't read too much into it, except to say maybe Republicans can hold off the Democrats from taking over the House. But we're out of time.
Went fast.
Always good to have you along with us on a
Good to be here, Dave.
Tuesday.
I'm in Boston next week.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Americans for Prosperity All Staff. I'm going to throw some tea in the harbor.
Going to walk with them across the common?
Probably.
Okay. Yeah. Do that just so they can see it. All right. Time for the news. Let's get to that. I'll be back after the news here on the Dave Elswick Show.
Find us at 1011fmtheanswer.com. Download our app, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The U.S. military has once again struck Karg Island, which is crucial to Iran's oil industry. An unnamed White House official says military targets on the island were hit. President Trump gives no indication he'll extend tonight's Iran deadline. Either the Iranian regime agrees to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or the U.S. will level key infrastructure. And one more look back at that dramatic rescue of 2 American military pilots in Iraq.
U.S. forces rescued the pilot within hours of the F-15 fighter jet going down, but it took nearly 2 days to rescue the second aviator in a daring operation. CIA Director John Ratcliffe.
We deployed both human assets and exquisite technologies that no other intelligence service in the world possesses.
He said the search and rescue operation was comparable to hunting for a single grain of sand in the middle of the desert, and President Trump was impressed.
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Greg Clugston, Washington.
The president spoke with the Artemis 2 astronauts after their history-making journey around the far side of the moon. Crew member Christina Cook telling the president,
one of the biggest highlights was coming back from the far side of the moon and having the first glimpses of planet Earth again after being out of communication for about 45 minutes. It really just reminds you what a special place we have and how important it is for our nation to lead and not follow in exploring deep space.
They're now on their way back home, due back Friday, splashdown off the coast of San Diego. Cuba's communist dictatorship gets moral support from a couple of Democrat lawmakers. They visited the island announcing what they call failed U.S. policy. The two Democrats, Washington State's Pramila Jayapal and Jonathan Jackson of Illinois. Watching Wall Street, stocks are in the red so far this morning. The Dow is down about 323 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
Australia's most decorated living veteran faces war crime charges, allegedly having killed 5 unarmed Afghans while serving in Afghanistan from 2009 to 2012.
Ben Robert Smith had been considered a national hero after being awarded the Victoria Cross for conspicuous gallantry action in an operation to hunt a senior commander of the Taliban. A judge in 2023 ruled that news articles alleging Mr. Robert Smith had murdered 4 unarmed Afghans were true. He then lost an appeal against that judgment and was ordered to pay the newspaper's legal costs. The former soldier has denied all wrongdoing and until now had not faced criminal charges, which require a higher burden of proof.
The BBC's Katie Watson. Bangladesh is conducting emergency measles rubella vaccinations, trying to contain the outbreak. It's killed more than 100 youngsters. The government is in partnership with the World Health Organization. News and analysis, townhall.com. The ranks of tailors, dressmakers, and custom sewers are shrinking in the U.S., even as their skills and their services are finding fresh demand.
Fashion industry experts say younger shoppers are enlisting tailors and seamstresses more often now to give off-the-rack purchases a custom fit. One veteran tailor in New York says weight loss drugs like Wegovy have more Americans wanting their favorite clothes resized. That comes even as many skilled sewers age out of the workforce. Now, the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York has teamed up with Nordstrom to launch a training program to help address the growing labor shortage. Bob Agnew reporting.
High-scoring Michigan had to get down and dirty to dig out the national title, making only 2 3-pointers all night, but still muscling its way to a 69-63 victory.
He's Donald Trump's #1 enemy in Congress, Chicago politician Dick Durbin. Now, Durbin has a new scheme. He's doing the dirty work to benefit corporate megastores. Durbin's bill could cut corners on your credit card security, putting your personal data at risk. Big chain retailers and warehouse stores want to inflate their profits, and liberal Dick Durbin would help them do it. Tell senators, say no to the megastores and Dick Durbin. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Elswick. Elswick! Elswick! Elswick!
After 9. And Pat is here in the studio. He's joined us. You know, I look up in the window and I see people passing by all the time during the show. People can look in and I should do like Larry Lujak used to do on WLS. I should put curtains up on the window. He used to, when people would come in and they would stand at the window and stare at him while I was doing the show. You put curtains up because he said, my studio is not the zoo. So,
yeah, really.
So he made people wish that they could still see him, but they could listen to him, and that was the key to him doing his show. It's a theater of the mind, and maybe he was doing his animal tales or something like that. He was known for, which was weird stories that he would peruse the newspapers for, and then write about it. All right, so Pat, what is it you're coming in to tell us about today?
So, I just continue to find things that are nice little side gigs for people, right? And I think a lot of people are interested and would like to know more or being more involved with cryptocurrency. It's been a fascinating thing. People have made some pretty... Okay.
He heard you.
So people have made...
I'm going to have to spank you. Stop moving.
Yeah, really.
That's all right.
So people have made and lost money with cryptocurrency. And the key is that you have to have something for guidance. And we are basically almost like a club that we work together, and we receive a code twice a day, and we just copy and paste that code into an app, and it trades. And we're doing phenomenal. You can invest as little as $500, and it's paying 1.3% per day. That's pretty good return.
Yeah. So
And
you're looking at, 35% a month or whatever.
Yeah, more even. Yeah. And so what's really cool is the way they've got it set up and structured is that you can let something season, as they say. So you let, 2 trades a day, right? So you have 100 trades, 50 days is what it takes to season, and you can pull that money out, and you just pay 12% to the company, and that money is yours to do what you want with. And I've got friends that have made a lot of money, and I'm talking about not just money on paper, but have pulled money out and have even more. One of my friends, he put in 5,000, and then he put another 1,000 in for his wife, and that was in September of last year. So not even close to a year yet. And he pulled out somewhere around 30,000. He still has over 100,000 in his account. And just people that I know that are using this to be able to either give themselves a retirement or beef up their retirement.
Okay, so
it's pretty cool.
Where is your money going?
It's actually going into an exchange, as they call it, and then you receive a code. We have what we call a signal, and that goes out, and we copy that code, we paste it into our exchange account, and the trade is done. And like I said, we've seen tremendous, return. We've only done this for a month, and we have over a 50% return on our money, my wife and I. And they pay bonuses for people who share it with other people, which, that's me. I like to network with people.
Right.
And people who like to network, I've never seen anything easier, because it takes me about 30 seconds twice a day to be able to get this account grow. And I don't think it gets a whole lot better than that. And then we're not talking about something that takes hours, a week even, just literally just seconds a day. And at one point I was trading for 3 people at one time, and that just didn't take me long at all. So it's pretty neat.
Okay, so I remember when I was talking about this, and you were looking at a couple ones that were low thousands, and you could get up to multiple thousands.
Yeah.
To use. How is it your money is growing? I think that's probably what everybody is wondering.
Yeah, perfect. So, and I want people to reach out to me to, get some information. And I just want you to text the word power, because I'm going to talk about the power of compound interest. Dave and I were talking about that.
Einstein said it was the biggest power in the world is compound interest.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. And when you're compounding at 1.3% a day, that's really powerful. So text the word power, POWER, to 501-605-6935. I'll get you some more information. 501-605-6935 power. So here's a good example. You put $500 in, you're getting 1.3% a day. But here's the key to it. They have a 99.6% positive trade rate. In other words, every trade, not almost 100%, are good trades. They don't lose money or whatever. But here's the other part of it. They only use 1% of your trade account for each trade. So even though the return is somewhere around like 60% on every trade, they're only using 1%
of what you have.
Of what you have in that account. So if it's 500, they're only using $5 to trade for that. And you can grow that. And then you also can get extra money by referring people. And that part's really, really cool. But I can just tell you this. I've never seen anything that returns money at this level. Okay. Other than just buying a business and making a ton of money on your return that way. But if they had a trade that was bad, then they replace it. And I was talking to some of my friends, and they said, we pray for trades to go bad so that we can get them replaced, because we actually make more on those trades the way they've got it designed. So in their words, you really can't lose. The only way you can lose is if the company just went belly up. It's a 3-year-old company. I know of a lady that was 5 months behind on her rent. She borrowed $500, and last month was her 20th month with the company, and she made her first $1 million. Not too bad.
No, that's a good return. But I'm sure for every $1 million person, there's others that don't bring in that much money.
Right, absolutely. Like, for example, I just used 500. Okay. And the thing is, you don't have to ever tell anybody if you don't want to. But if you share it with a few people, you're going to actually get some greater return, because you're going to get bonuses and stuff, and those will grow into your account, and you can either take them out or you can just keep feeding that account. But here's an example. Let's say you never told anyone, okay? Put $500 in, and I've got a calculator here, compound interest, right? Like we're talking 1.3% daily in 14 months, that's $122,000.
And at that point, you can pull some of that money out.
Yeah, well, you can pull money in
your own use.
Yeah, really, in 60 days, you can pull your original money out and then some, or you can just let it stay in there and build, or you can do both. We got people that are doing both, people that are pulling money out so they can show people, look how much we're making. And we're right on the edge. We're not too far away from being able to do that.
So what are they investing in?
They use different types of cryptocurrency. They use where they do the actual investments. They're, primarily they use like, Bitcoin and, USDC, USDT. There's different ones like that. But it's unlike anything that I've seen, and unlike anything that the people I've talked to who have understanding of cryptocurrency have seen. They've seen things where you've got to, trade. Like I've seen them where you have like 30 seconds to a minute basically to do a trade. And you can do that multiple times a day or one time a day or whatever it might be. With this, we have a whole hour, but it only takes 30 seconds. That's what I love about it, twice a day. And then when you refer people, you get bonus trades. And that's just like free candy. I mean, that's pretty incredible. But we know people that have done very, very, very well. We know people that are taking out, one of my friend Lee, met several different people they had a cruise, and he met several different people that are taking out 10 to 15,000 a week and buying properties and doing stuff like that with their money. So somebody's got an extra 5 or 10 grand that, they feel like, hey, if I lose, it's not the end of the world. It's pretty hard to beat, being able to put something in a place like this.
Yeah, I've heard of things like this, like with stocks, where you have stock clubs, and everybody puts in so much money, and then you work with somebody who does all the trading for you.
Yep.
So, but this is with cryptocurrency.
Yep, absolutely. And we've looked at a number of different elements of this, and I'm going to just give you another example. This is pretty crazy. Okay, so we're going to do the same 14 months. In fact, we're just going to go 8 months. And starting with 5,000, never telling anyone, getting no bonuses, nothing, just letting compound interest do its thing.
Right.
$116,000. $116,000 in 8 months. So I heard about a guy that borrowed money from his bank, went back, paid off his bank in 3 months, and still had like $5,000 or $7,000 left in his account, and just kept growing that and building that and doing it. Yeah. I mean, if you have something that's compounding consistently and you're not losing, that's pretty tough to beat.
Okay. But there is always the possibility that you could lose what you invest.
Yeah. The only way you can lose what you invest, honestly, is if the company just went out.
Went belly up.
Yeah, because they're only using 1% of your balance to trade. So even if you lost in a day, they're going to give you a replacement trade, and you end up actually making more in those days. But we've been doing this now for just a few days over a month, and we've not even had one trade go south. Every single one, even my bonus trades, all of them have been good.
Okay, so you're always going in and putting that code in twice a day.
Yes.
Now, is it
different code?
Does that code come in at a specified time?
Yes, absolutely. It does. It comes in a little bit after 11:30 in the morning, a little bit after 5:30 in the evening.
Okay, so it's not the market, it's crypto, but still market type information is included in that. So somebody is watching it and making the trade to go, there's the crypto we want to invest in this time.
Yeah.
And they send you out the code that you need.
Yeah. And if you look at the crypto markets, very volatile. Some of them, like Ethereum, they're like waves. They go up and down. USDC, USDT are almost just like the dollar. I mean, it's very, very, pretty much 1-to-1. But what's real cool about this is the people that I know personally that are doing this. One of them was the practitioner of the year for the National Basketball Association. One of them was my friend that owned 3 car dealerships. We're talking about people with means, but we're also talking about people who really are very smart and wise with their money. I've worked with them on other ventures. But this one here is the biggest no-brainer for them, because they can do anything else they want while they're doing this, because they can stop. If they're going to be somewhere, they can have a family member trade for them that day or for a few days or whatever. Really, they're not inconveniencing them. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, that's right. You got it out right.
Yeah. Sometimes you say a word, it just doesn't sound right.
You understand. All right. Well, we're going to have Pat on here for a while longer. Where did you want people to text power to?
Yeah, text the word power to 501-605-6935. Power to 501-605-6935. I'll tell you my story. I'll tell you stories of some of my other friends. My doctors want to introduce this to me. And like I said, I'm working with people that have very deep circles with professional athletes. There's a reason why people are doing this, because it doesn't take a lot of time. And they're like, man, what the heck? If I can get an extra however many $1,000 in my retirement account, or tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands, or even millions, yeah, that's a no-brainer.
All you got to do to look at it is you can lose several days and gain on several more, and then it washes out and you come up with a percentage over that particular period of time that's going to pay off for you.
Yeah, absolutely. $5,000 over a year and a half is $6 million. I mean, where can you kind of figure that kind of money, right? And the company's been around for 3 years. That's the great part about it. And moving forward.
All right.
We're loving it.
Power to this number. Here's the number again.
501-605-6935.
All right. We'll be back. We got to get a break in. It's first break of the 9 o'clock hour, 9:21 on the Dave Elswick Show.
We stay the land of the free and home of the brave. You need to be informed and engaged. That's why we're here. 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on the dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
You can watch the show right now. The Dave Elswick Show is streaming live on Facebook. This is 101.1, The Answer.
Back with it, Dave Elswick Show. Pat's here and talking about a new procedure that he has come across where you can put in as little as like $500.
Yeah.
And over the time that you have that money in the bank, that you've given to this company, it's going to return around 1.3% daily.
Daily, yes.
Yeah, that's an important caveat. I want you to listen to me. It's like the old joke that you do with your kids when you're wanting to show them, about how if you take a penny,
yeah,
and you double it every day,
yeah.
Would you rather have that, or would you rather have $1 million?
Yeah, you'd rather have that.
You'd rather have the penny that doubles every day. So it goes to show that a little can be made into a lot.
Yeah, it really can. And what is so interesting with this is that, excuse me, you have so many people like that I know that are real quality people, doctors and, people that are very, very successful, that have really encouraged people to look into this. And so you have people who don't have those kind of names and those kind of titles or that kind of money that have done really well with this, like really well. Many, many, many multimillionaires that have come out of it in just 3 years.
I mean, this is the one that started over in Asia Minor, basically, and now it's gotten to the United States, correct?
No, this one here's different. Okay. This is one from the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah, but there are other different crypto programs out there. I'll be the first to tell you that. I've got a friend who's wanting to do this because his other program he was a part of, he lost quite a bit of money because he had to be the one making the trades. And he got some, ideas, or he got some suggestions and stuff like that. But that's not the same. And the way this works, like I said, it's actually 99.6% of the trades are successful.
Okay.
And like my friend said, Pat, we pray for the trade to go south because we want to get a replacement, because we actually make more, because they'll pull more out of our balance to be able to do it. And then the next time they even have more, but they've never even done, since I've been doing this, they haven't had any that have had to be replaced. And my doctor started the week before me. They've had one during that week. That's it. So they're just going to continue. And my thing is this: a lot of people have an extra $500, $1,000, $5,000, maybe even $10,000 or more that they could put into something like this and not even blink, right? It'd be like throwing a penny in the corner.
Let me just say this. When you're talking about investments, there's always, and it may be small, but there's always a possibility that you'll lose your investment. That's something.
Absolutely.
So don't put money in that you don't have.
Right. That's what I always tell people. I've heard stories of people that have cashed out 401ks and put them in, and they've probably very, very glad they did. But someone else that could happen.
Especially after they had to pay the taxes on the money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the whole thing, too. When you're getting 1.3% a day, who charges that much? And even the IRS doesn't charge that much, not 1.3 a day. So I like that element of it. So if someone puts in, let's just use an example. If someone puts in $1,000, they're going to have a springboard within 6 months. That's going to be worth a lot of money, being compounded 1.3 a day. And again, all they're doing is pulling 1% of that. But let me just share this right here. So I said 1,000. Let's do this, and let's go 6 months. Got this nice little calculator here.
He's doing it all in his head.
Yeah. So, daily. Daily compound. Yeah, you make a mistake and you go, hey, wait a minute. That doesn't sound right. It should be a lot more than that.
Right.
But that's because it's compounded daily. Or 6 months, $1,000, 6 months. That's $10,600
in a month.
In 6 months.
In 6 months. Yeah, that's a good return. I can't argue against that. That's a good turn. We'll be back in a minute. I know that you want to give them power and the phone number again.
501-605-6935. Text the word power. 501-605-6935.
All right, we've got the news that we got to go to. Let's do that. Then we'll come back. Pat will be here to talk a little further about his experience with this particular program.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. The Iranian president is calling on Iranians to link arms in human chains formed around power plants. This is a response to President Trump's threat to bomb Iranian infrastructure, including power plants, if Iran doesn't reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Mr. Trump's deadline stands. It's 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight. And Tehran has been pounded with more airstrikes, having deadly effect. Also, Iran's Karg Island, which is crucial to the country's crude oil industry has been hit. Iran has fired on Israel and Saudi Arabia, prompting the temporary closure of a major bridge. Been a big explosion at the Bridge of the Americas over the Panama Canal, apparently an accident involving a fuel tank storage depot. On Wall Street, the Dow is down about 250 points. More details, srnnews.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
RedState.com captures the pulse of grassroots conservatism. Red State staff of contributors are on top of breaking news with stories and analysis that challenge the established agenda. RedState.com educates, motivates, and activates passionate conservatives across America, arming them with the facts that put them ahead of the political curve. No wonder RedState.com is a must-read for elected officials and for citizens who want to make their vote count. RedState.com is the place where influence meets action. Log on to RedState.com today.
On Salem News Channel, principled voices are shaping today's conversation. Scott Jennings brings clarity to the toughest debates. Josh Hammer's blistering commentary puts politics and culture on trial. And Alex Marlowe's insight connects us to what matters most. Watch anytime on Samsung TV Plus, Pluto TV, or find us on your screen at snc.tv. 3 new shows, 1 powerful lineup. Salem News Channel, across America.
I've suffered from shoulder pain for about 22 years. It got to where I couldn't even wash my hair. I couldn't even brush my teeth without pain.
That's when Sophia checked out QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. All natural treatments to revitalize your damaged joint tissue and get you back to living a normal life again with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime.
I chose QC Kinetics because my son, he had had his back done, and he had great success with it.
Join tens of thousands of satisfied patients who have found lasting relief from their joint pain. Request a free consultation and find out if you're qualified for this therapeutic breakthrough. Call 501-808-2602.
I was in the shower washing my hair, and I realized, oh my God, I'm washing my hair and it doesn't hurt. I'm pain-free, and I want to thank you, QC Kinetics.
Isn't it time you got your life back? Call now for your free consultation. 501-808-2602. 501-808-2602.
Dave Elswick is the conservative voice of Arkansas, and he's back. 101.1, The Answer.
All right, back with you here on the Dave Elswick Show. We got Pat sitting here in the studio with us today, and he's talking about a new way that you can get into investing into cryptocurrency. And we've been just working with the $500 mark. I'm going to say you don't have a lot of money to throw into something, so $500. And I'm just to be honest, here in America today, just about anybody can pull together $500.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that, Dave.
You were talking about, you're getting 1.3% daily back on that 500, and it's building up steadily as it's in there churning with the rest of the money. But how did you say you got more money out of that?
You're talking about the higher percentage?
Yeah, how did you get up to?
Yeah, so if you share this with people, basically if you network and you get 5 people to do the same thing, and then you help them to be able to build a group of 5, then it goes from 1.3 to 1.9.
Okay, now that doesn't sound like
no, it doesn't.
Much, but we're talking compound interest here.
Daily.
Yeah, daily. So if you did that, the 500 for a year and got 1.3, it's supposed to you're going to make close to 55 grand on that money. But if you got into the 1.9, how much money do you make?
$481,445.
Okay, so well over, $400,000.
Yeah, it's that would be almost 100,000% profit.
I'm not saying that can't happen. I've known people who've gotten into, like I said, stock clubs.
Right.
And over a period of, say, 5 to 10 years, have really put together some huge returns on that money.
Yep, that's right. And people who put money into Bitcoin years ago, it's worth millions now, and they didn't have to put a whole lot into it.
No.
But with this, we aren't doing that. We're not trying to find, the perfect situation, that we research ourselves and take the time and the effort and whatever to do it. It's done for us. All we do is we get in our little, like a club almost, or a group. We have a website and we get a code twice a day. We copy it and we put it into an app, basically, on our phone. And that's all. That's it. It's so simple. I've never seen anything like it. And what I like the most is for people who are networkers, people who like to talk to people who have built, some other kind of network marketing company in the past, whether it's Shackley, Amway, whatever. There's a ton of different ones that are out there, very legit, and people have made a lot of money with them. This is a simple way to be able to share something with people. All you got to do is go, hey, I've been with this company now. Like I was telling you, my first 500, I've had, with the bonuses and different stuff like that, I've probably had close to an 80% return in a month. We're talking about 6-7 years that it takes to get that kind of a return with a really good, consistent broker, right? And they'll tell you the same thing, that just because you have this happen or whatever, it's not going to mean that's going to happen the same for everybody else, or that there's not some risk involved. The risk involved with this, by the way, this is registered with the SEC. We've got a little video that has the information where people are walking through and explaining the different documents and FinCEN, the different financial groups and stuff. And it's just pretty cool to see that, because that's where you get a little bit of peace of mind, right? With something, or a lot of peace of mind, when you can see that something actually has, the legal aspects of it that are, in place. And so I just share that with, information with people. And it's pretty simple. If you're a person who likes to talk to other people and you have built a network with some other kind of company or whatever, you'll find, in our opinion, nothing is easier than this. As many as the different things I've shared with you and I've been on the show with, I still do a number of these different things. And the different types of technology have changed our lives, both, with our health and also financially. But with this, all I got to do is say, hey, look, I put this much money in, and now I just pulled this much out, and this is how much I have left in, and this is how much I've made in a return. And we're not to that point because we're only a month in, but I can already show people, look, this is the kind of return I'm seeing, because it's 1.3% daily.
Yeah, this is where I'm at right now. It's going to be higher.
Absolutely. And my friends, I'm telling you, I've got friends that have made tens of thousands of dollars on their original investment, and they just keep putting more money back into it because some of them, like me, don't have any kind of retirement. I was in the ministry for years. Now I've been in sales for years. I never had my own 401k, any of that kind of stuff. And so I've built up income, with my businesses, especially our health insurance business. But that's a whole different ball game when you get into that. And so we just love it. My wife and I, she jokes with people. She goes, hey, it only takes 30 seconds and we can do this. And then we get bonus trades when we introduce other people. And, that only takes 15 seconds. We don't have to even paste a code when we do that. It's just really, really great. And
you just go on to the internet, go to your account, and you can keep track of it.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I showed you. I've got, I look at my account, the way it's growing. We got people that are texting us. So if you haven't, I recommend just text us the word power, POWER, to 501-605-6935. And Dave, why did we choose power? Because what's more powerful other than God, right? than compound interest.
Yeah, even Einstein understood that.
Yep.
He was a great mathematician, but he was in awe of compound interest.
And a lot of the financial gurus, the same thing. They'll say, if you're not getting compound interest, you're paying by giving it up, if nothing else. And they understood that.
Okay.
They understood that.
All right. So for you, this has worked out nicely.
Yeah, and it's just starting. That's the beautiful thing. But my friends that I really care about and trust, that I've been working with in other businesses, are killing it. I mean, they are making, because they're sharing, and then they have the money that comes in for what they share, and then they turn around, they put that right back in, and they trade with that, and that number just keeps going up. So even if it was 500, it might be 3,000 3 or 4 or 5 months down the road now that they're trading with, and that's multiplying at 1.3. Or once they get their 5 and help them get 5 other people themselves, now it's 1.9. Those numbers are ridiculous. And they pay income once you get to a certain, point with the company, that you get paid every 10 days, a certain amount of money, and you get to the next level in the company, you get a certain, amount of money that way. And so I would encourage people, especially people who are thinking, sounds like a pyramid. No, it's not like Walmart or any of the companies. I'm telling you, and I say that, and people think I'm just being a jerk, but I'm not. I believe there are no greater pyramids than corporate America. No one gets to the top of those companies. And that's what people do. They just complain that, it's one of those pyramid or Ponzi schemes where only a few people make money. No, the people who make the most money in Walmart, Amazon, all those are the people at the top. Mm-hmm. And then the top level managers make their money. And then the managers below that. I worked with them when I was dealing with health insurance for corporate. And I dealt with a lot of retirees from Walmart. And I'm telling you, they make a whole lot more money than any other people that in that company, other than the exact executives that are at the top. So kind of put that thing out of mind, or the idea that you get paid to share with other people. Man, if you own a photography company and you do videography for weddings, if someone says, well, you did such a good job on my wedding, I want to have you do my friend's wedding, you're not going to say, I won't do that, or I'll do it for free. No, you won't. That's how you make a living. So it's the same thing with this. Just reach out to me. Text the word power, POWER, right, to 501-605-6935. Power. To 501-605-6935. I'll get some information to you. I'll share my story more in depth. I'll tell you my goals that I have with this and how I can help you if this is something that you go, you know what? I know a lot of people and I could use some extra income. I'd really like some extra retirement money. And this would be a no-brainer because I can just let the money sit and grow just like it is in annuities and in stocks and bonds, mutual funds, wherever that might be, whether it's an IRA, 401k, precious metals. Yes, absolutely. I mean, look what's happened with gold. We know, I hear you talk about that a lot. But even you look at gold, then you look at this, and we're talking about thousands of % of return without having to spend a whole lot of money to get started. That's what I like. So $500, but I'm telling you, if you've got an extra 1,000, 5, 10, and you're not going to have anything happen if you lose it, I can't recommend it enough.
All right. Here's the phone number again. You're going to send this, the word power, POWER, to
501-605-6935. Make sure you text that, because I get a lot of calls. I get a lot of spam calls. I haven't even been answering my phone lately. I get so many spam calls. It's power to 501-605-6935.
Well, I got to tell you, I learned a hard lesson here just recently, and that was I got a digital piece came into me and said, "Hey, look at how much we can save you with your car insurance."
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Now, here's the problem with that: the people who are doing that, they're out there fishing for your information.
Yeah, that's
and then they
right.
turn it over to
Sell it.
everybody.
Yeah.
And you will end up with more, text messages than you know what to do with.
Yeah.
Now, most places, if you just text them back, stop, it stops it.
Yeah.
And I've been using that word to probably think that that's my middle name.
Yeah.
Because I put STOP on a lot of things.
Yeah, it's really sad because I had, as much as I've done insurance for so many years, and I'm still doing health insurance. I'm here for you if you need something, right? But I looked up something for some life insurance for my wife, and she has her phone's just blown up. And it really angers me because that's one thing I've never done. The Health Plan Man team, you guys have heard me talk about that for a long time.
Several years.
We've never shared anyone's information with another entity, ever, in 7 years that I've known you, Dave.
Right.
And we get a lot of referrals from people because other people tell people about us. And we're still doing that. My son and my son-in-law both are very active with that. But man, I'm going to be 68 in a handful of months here. And
You're just a young whippersnapper.
Well, I am, but I found out the other day that debt is not a retirement plan. And so we're trying to replace that with something very, very positive. And if this, moves forward the way we feel like it's going to, and I continue to help people 18 months from now, we're talking multi-millions.
Yeah.
And we can survive on that.
I guess.
And we can build the kingdom. That's the most important thing. We just want to help people and grow God's kingdom.
All right, let's take our final break and then we'll wrap it all up. I'll give you the phone number and where you text it to when we return here on the Dave Elswick Show.
In a world where more and more people decide what's right and wrong based on how they feel, what happens when feelings become the only moral standard? If emotions alone define truth, then who decides why murder, theft, or violence are wrong? And if someone feels justified in destroying property or harming others, on what basis can society say they're wrong? For 50 years, Dennis Prager has challenged audiences around the world to think deeply about the moral foundations of civilization. In his new book, If There Is No God, he confronts the biggest questions of human existence. Why does evil go unpunished? Why do innocent people suffer? And can morality survive without God? Whether a believer, a skeptic, or somewhere in between, this book offers serious answers for a morally confused age. Clear, provocative, and accessible. If There Is No God by Dennis Prager. Available now at PragerStore.com. That's PragerStore.com.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
We just kind of knew from the beginning that we were family.
They showcased a sense of love that I never had before. I mean, he's not only my parent, he's like my best friend.
At the end of the day, it's all been worth it. I wouldn't change a thing about our lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council. We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. It was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age. Everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Here's NASCAR Hall of Famer Mark Martin.
As a race car driver for 40 years, I survived a lot of crashes. Not everyone can run into a wall at 200 miles an hour and walk away. Without a seatbelt, I wouldn't be alive today. Now I'm retired, back home in Arkansas driving my pickup. I'm shocked how many people aren't wearing seatbelts. Why risk your life when it only takes 2 seconds to buckle up? Take it from number 6. Buckle up, Arkansas.
A message from the Arkansas State Police Highway Safety Office.
Now, back to the Dave Elswick Show. 101.1. The end.
All right, 9 minutes until 10 o'clock. Don't forget 10 o'clock. The new sheriff of Saline County is going to be on, Dustin Robertson. We're going to talk to him about what are his plans when he takes over next year during the beginning of the year. And, what does he see that they've got to do different to make Saline County a much safer county to live in? So be ready for that. That'll be an interesting hour, I'm sure, with Dustin here on the Dave Elswick Show. He's not going to drive up. I didn't want to have him get out during traffic heavy and everything, come out here to the studio. So we're going to do it by phone with him. So all he's got to do is pick up his phone and call us. He did tell me that when he was on during the primary, was talking about his candidacy and whatnot, said that if he won, he would make it a priority to join me once every month.
That's nice.
After he takes over. That's something I bring up to people immediately now when I talk to them, because you should be able to be reached by your constituents and know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to do that.
For sure.
Now, Staley didn't win in Lonoke County. So who carried? That was the guy who's going up for trial for killing the guy who had his daughter, right?
Yeah, I don't remember all the details, but I think that's right.
Yeah,
I
so
think that's right.
Well, keep our fingers crossed that he's not found guilty on that, because if he's found guilty, he's got to give up the
that's true.
position.
Yeah.
So you just know it ain't over until the fat lady sings.
Yeah.
It's just the way that works. All right, 9:53. Let me power. There's the word again, power. POWER. The phone number is
501-605-6935. And I have two different groups of people that I want to hear from. I want you to text me that power to 501-605-6935. And that's people that have at least $500 that they could put into this and work with this crypto program that maybe aren't going to tell anybody, but they just would like to have something into this. And the other is the group that says, hey, I would like to do that. I may have that much or more, but I really would like to. Yeah, I want to share it with other people, because if I'm doing that, then why would I want to keep that from other people? So I think that's a big deal. And we're experiencing a lot. So just text the word power to 501-605-6935. I'll get information to you. And as far as what we've seen so far, you won't be sorry.
Okay, so let's use you as a prime example. You put in $500. It's been going on a month, or
just right over a month.
Over it.
Yeah, March 2nd was our first.
And you made how much?
Somewhere around 80% return.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Okay. So that's what you're going to do when you hit send him the word power. He's going to send you the information back about how you can get involved in this program as well. All right. So if you're a person that likes the stock market, if you're a person that likes buying gold and silver and things of that nature, I can't say that I would think that you would have any problems with getting with this program.
Right. Definitely. And if it's somebody that just likes to talk to people and cares about people, that's another group of people.
Yeah,
that's
if you're looking,
very good.
Looking to grow it, that's something that you want to ask about. But if all you want to do is put your 500 in and let it, get grow.
Yep.
You can do that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And at that point, whatever you make is going to fall back into your account.
Yeah. And we're helping people. If someone, wants to grow a team, we'll help them. That's what we're here for. This company stresses it. In fact, if you're a manager like I am, and I became one very, very quickly, they're going to hold your feet to the fire when it comes to that, so that you're helping people, you're reaching out with them, for them. I do 3-way calls. We just want everybody to know about it. I wish I would have known about it at the time when my friends started. Let's put it that way, because today I would be sitting on tens of thousands of dollars on that same original investment, tens of thousands.
No, but though you got in a little late, you're still making some cash.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's the case, the way anything works.
Yeah.
Just the way it goes. All right, we're about out of time here. So tell me, what else are you up to besides this?
Well, still helping people with health insurance. I'm still working with my patch business and some of the other things I'm doing. We're doing well. We've seen some lives changed, like I said, physical changes that have happened with people, and we're still doing those kind of things. And we're working with the company I told you about, that is bringing this technology to America with different PEMF technology and different machines and goggles and different things. They've been a life changer. My wife has started using it. She has IBS sometimes, and it's just absolutely changed her life. She can be having pain and get on one of the machines and it's gone, which is pretty cool.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to have the machine that doesn't do anything.
Right.
You definitely want it to do something. All right, power to, here's the phone number one more time.
501-605-6935. Power, 501-605-6935.
And are you, like me, glad that baseball is back?
Yes, I am. Yeah, my Brewers are hot, man. 8-2.
They are right now. They're, I can say that's what Cubs were last year.
Yeah.
And they didn't hold on to that. That's not sustainable. Things are going their way. Sooner or later, it hit a pebble out there on the end.
Oh, there's so many ebbs and flows in baseball. 162 games.
162 games. That's why they play all those games.
Yeah.
You get a pretty good idea then who's the best. I'm already tired of the Dodgers. If you're a Dodgers fan, you're no better to me than Steinbrenner and the Yankees were in the 80s, buying all the talent that's out there.
I can't stand
it. It's crazy.
And the Brewers are the smallest market in baseball. That's when I've always been impressed.
It's Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
How about that? That's interesting.
Yep.
Pirates are doing well too. They're second place right
now. I haven't even been following the rest of the division. I've just been following the Brewers.
They've won 5 in a row last I heard. All right, it's time to take a break. Let's do that. News is next. Pat, thanks for stopping by and sharing this with us.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited. I hope a lot of people are going to get blessed.
All right, we'll take a break, and then I'll be back with the new Saline County Sheriff, Dustin Robertson, here on the Dave Elswick Show.
News breaks fast. We break it down faster. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. KDXE, Kamak Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. U.S. military has struck targets on Karg Island, Iran's key oil export facility.
The strikes against the important oil hub came hours ahead of President Trump's deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. In a morning social media post, He said that a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again, if Iran did not make a deal by 8 p.m. Washington time this evening.
White House correspondent Craig Clugston. Iran's president is calling on Iranians to link arms in human chains and surround power plants. That is a response to President Trump's threat to bomb Iranian infrastructure, including power plants. And Tehran has been pounded with more airstrikes with deadly effect. Iran fired on Israel and Saudi Arabia, prompting the temporary closure of a major bridge. They've done it. The Artemis 2 astronauts have traveled deeper into space than any humans have before. They've gone around the far side of the moon. Artemis Commander Reed Wiseman says the view from up there is spectacular.
The moon is about 3 to 4 times the size of the Earth, and it is almost full, and the Earth is just a small crescent out there. It's magnificent. I got a picture of it with the wide lens. Such a majestic view out here.
The astronauts now headed home. They're due back on Friday, splashdown off San Diego. There's been a massive explosion at the Bridge of the Americas over the Panama Canal, apparently an accident involving a fuel tank storage facility. At least one person killed, an unknown number injured. As of now, foul play not suspected. Gas prices continue to climb. AAA's national average for a gallon of regular is $4.14. That's up a couple of cents from yesterday. And watching Wall Street, the Dow is down 353 points. The NASDAQ Composite Index off 347, and the S&P 66 points in the red. More on these stories, townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0141. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
It's a White House show of support for a Trump ally overseas.
Vice President J.D. Vance is visiting Hungary's capital to support Prime Minister Viktor Orban's campaign only days before a pivotal election. Vance will meet Orban and appear at a campaign rally, signaling strong backing from the Trump administration. Orban, in power since 2010, faces a tough race against a centre-right party. Critics accuse Orban of undermining Hungary's institutions and media, which he denies. Most polls show Orban trailing ahead of the April 12 vote, prompting him to boost his profile by appearing with international backers. I'm Charles Tillerson.
War crime charges have been filed against Ben Roberts-Smith, Australia's most decorated living military veteran, accused of killing 5 unarmed Afghans while serving in Afghanistan from 2009 to 2012. He denies any wrongdoing. News and analysis at townhall.com. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon warns that a resilient U.S. economy could face renewed inflation pressures if the war in Iran disrupts global energy markets. In his annual shareholder letter, Dimon describes inflation as the potential skunk at the party this year. Now, you talk about your childhood wishes.
It was raining marshmallows at 2 parks as youngsters grabbed the sweet treats being dropped from a helicopter. It was the annual Marshmallow Drop hosted by Wayne County Parks, and this year's event brought in hundreds of children. A passenger on board unloaded the treats tossed out of large sacks onto the grass below. At each location, the helicopter made 3 passes.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174.
All right, let's move into the final hour of a Tuesday edition of the Dave Elswick Show. Don't forget, tomorrow on Wednesday, first hour is we travel to Washington, D.C., talk to Congressman Hill and talk to Congressman Westerman tomorrow about what's going on. And there should be some new stuff to talk about Iran if the president follows through with what he has been telling Iran he intends to do if they don't come to the negotiating table and get real serious about what's going on. But right now, I want to keep it local. I want to do something about the, of course, Saline County sheriff's race that has been decided for the Republican primary. And, of course, Dustin Robertson won hands down, ran away with it. And he is now, Dustin, let me make sure the current sheriff is going to serve out the rest of his term until the beginning of next year. And then if you win the November election, then you'll be the sheriff of Saline County, or is the primary basically saying you're sheriff beginning of the year, no matter what?
No, the sheriff will stay in office until December 31st. Hopefully then we'll move on to the state senate. I'll continue to serve as the chief deputy until then, working toward January.
Okay, and then you're going to take over. Okay, so the last time you were on here, we didn't get into specifics about what you would do if you won the primary, but I can look at you now and say, well, you're the Republican banner holder here for the Saline County Sheriff's race that's coming up. What are some things that people can see that you'll be doing immediately at the beginning of next year if you are, in fact, the sheriff of Saline County?
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done between even now and then. You know, the election went our way, and definitely want to work toward January and ultimately taking office as the sheriff. There's going to, I think anytime, whether it's within an organization you're already at, or you move from an organization to a different organization, if you're in a different seat, you need to look at it from a different point of view. I've looked at things for the last nearly 5 years as just the chief deputy, implementing the sheriff's vision and mission, and those things are going to be mine. And I felt like that was my job, is to set him up for success with his ideas and his mission. And while we are very much alike in our law enforcement philosophy and leadership styles, I'm not a carbon copy. So there will be some differences in the way we approach things. I think I mentioned before, we're already starting a complete policy and procedure review for our agency. We've got some personnel decisions that are going to have to be made through some attrition. We need to get some new folks hired. We've got a couple of vacancies on the sworn side and in the detention side, and those are things that we'll continue to work on and work toward going toward the first of the year.
Well, who are you looking at, or are you looking at people specifically to take over the position that you hold now and that you'll give up coming if you win the sheriff's race?
I have not. I decided very early on in the campaign, I didn't want that distraction or it to be a distraction on, well, he's picking this person to be his chief deputy if he wins and that. And I said all along that I won't make I've not promised anyone a position. I've not even suggested to anyone a position, be it chief deputy or otherwise. I wanted to get through the election process without that distraction, without the distraction of who that may be being a part of the election process. I've got 9 months, essentially 8 months, I guess, to make that decision. That process is probably going to look a lot like I'll probably post the position and accept resumes and put a committee together to kind of review those resumes and an interview panel to make sure. I've got to get it right. The position is so important. I've been doing the job, so I know what I'm looking for someone to do this job. So I've got to get it right. So I'm not going to rush. There's not going to be any immediate announcement of who the next chief deputy is going to be. Like I said, I'm just going to go through a process and try and find the best person for our agency and our county.
Yeah, basically, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but being the chief deputy right now, you know what that job entails, and you'll be looking for someone who can do as good of a job as you've done, probably better. Is that right?
Absolutely. Like I said, it's such a vital position and that I've been blessed to be in. And so I do have that insight into, I know what the requirements are going to be for the person that I'm looking for to step in and take on the many, many roles, operationally, administratively, budget, and so many things that the chief deputy is tasked with on really running the day-to-day operations.
Okay. Do you have someone from the Democratic Party that's challenging you, or are you unchallenged in this position when it comes up in November?
No, I'll be unopposed.
Oh, you're unopposed. So you are the sheriff then, right now.
I will be January 1st.
Okay.
Yes,
I was going to clarify that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
want to make sure that we get that clear. So you've got about 9 months now to sit down and kind of pontificate over your navel and decide what you're going to do come the first of the year.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
What's the biggest problem that you see right now out in Saline County that you need to combat as the new sheriff?
I think we've got to continue to look at the growth of the county and the challenges that's going to present in the unincorporated part of the county. I believe we talked about this when I was on your show before, that, used to people would move to Saline County and they were buying up, 5, 10, 20 acres of land. But now that acreage is going towards subdivisions, which is going to present us a challenge for, providing preventive patrols and responding to calls for service in a more densely populated area. And it's going to increase our call volume. Obviously, Saline County has got some narcotics issues. We make a lot of arrests on users, and we're going to start, we're going to shift that focus more toward the dealers and the suppliers and those kind of things, leveraging the relationships we've built with many of our counterparts, both state and federally. So I think those are two of the biggest challenges we face.
What about illegal aliens? Does Saline County have, since they're right there on I-30, a north-south route or east-west route, whichever way you want to look at it, through the middle of the state, from the Texas border up and then dumping into I-40. Is that an ongoing problem that you see, and will you be working with ICE to make sure that those people get put behind bars that you all come into contact with?
Currently, we are a part of the 287G program as far as our detention center goes. We will detain them for ICE. We have not received the certification to actually serve warrants and those kind of things. And that's a discussion that would need to be had down the road. But, for me, illegal or legal, I don't want criminals in my community.
Mm-hmm.
And those people need to be placed in jail. Fortunately, we're finishing up our jail expansion, and I'll have more room for people that want to break the law in Saline County, regardless of their immigration status or whether they're here legally or American born. We got to get the criminals off the streets.
Yeah, with Buc-ee's coming in and going to be this big magnet for more jobs in Saline County, are you looking at? Are you going to have to expand the sheriff's department?
Not so much because of Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's actually is going to lie within the city limits of Benton. So I think Benton Police Department will probably see a bigger impact than we will. Obviously, with it being right on the interstate, the state police and highway police and us are going to see a massive influx of traffic that it will be very interesting to see how that kind of plays out. As far as increasing staff due to Buc-ee's, I don't see that, but I do think just overall county growth is going to require us to really take a look at how we're utilizing the resources we have. And as I've said all along throughout my campaign, I'm going to approach the quorum court every year at budget time about adding patrol deputies.
Well, you guys got a lot of area to cover out there. How many miles was it? I forget when I was out on the ride with you guys, how many miles that encompasses. It's a lot.
Yeah, the Saline County is approximately 750 square miles. And I mean, you think about going from basically Hot Springs Village all the way out to Hensley. That's a day road trip.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I was amazed at how many. They're always riding unless they're going to a call. They're always riding in the Saline County area. As far as the voters are concerned, what have they been telling you that they want to see from the sheriff?
I think a lot. You mentioned the margin of victory, which I was surprised about, to be perfectly honest. But it also tells me that we're doing, nearly 70% of the voters think we're doing a pretty good job. Most everybody knew I was already here as the chief deputy, and I think that kind of reinforces that we have a good agency. We have good people. We're progressing. We're getting better. And I think that kind of validates with the voters and we're doing some good things. We can always get better. I'm always looking for ways to improve and make us better at what we do, make us more efficient in what we do. But again, like I said, the voters kind of gave me the confidence to know that we're heading in the right direction.
All right. We got to take a break, Dustin. Let's do that. And then we'll bring you back and finish up our interview with you here on the Dave Elswick Show, 101.1 FM, The Answer.
We bring you the biggest news stories of the day. Not to tell you what to think, but to allow you to have the most information so you can make up your mind. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
This is my home and my family, and little pests had invaded it and were ruining our wonderful home. But now we have the Bug Man to protect us. They inspect regularly to keep out the termites, ants, roaches, and other pests. They even protect our yard in the summertime with Bug Man mosquito treatments. And the Bug Man does it for way less than those national companies.
Get the upper hand. Call the Bug Man at